Hello, today is Tuesday, May 28th, and it's the day after Memorial Day weekend, so some of you may be hungover listening to this episode.
Hungover with grief, you mean?
Yes.
Because they definitely didn't use the holiday to do anything other than respect the dead.
Yeah, and not just get drunk out in their yard.
Did you see the Army, I think, tweeted, and they were like, share your story about what it means to serve. And every response was like, my brother shot himself. I have 38 inches of scars and PTSD. I can't go into crowds. I cry at night. I was like, just a wall of...
Did they post anything like, please contact the VA?
Well, they posted like, we really value all this feedback, but they
Well, we're going to keep sending you over there.
Right, yeah. Anyway, that's not what this is about. Also, quick behind the scenes look at Level 1 text. Chris has a blanket.
Listen, it's like 90 degrees outside.
And it's like 75 in here.
Oh, listen, it's cold. I was like, I don't need a sweater. I'll be fine. And then I came in here and the air conditioner's blowing on me and I'm cold. So anyway.
Right. Good week for Americans to get that day off.
Yeah.
I mean, not if...
What are you going to do tomorrow?
I'm probably going to just, do chores and stuff because, yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
You got to maintain this homeownership stuff.
It's really cut down on your free time.
It's a real burden. Plus, they got to get the stupid cats. Their room has to be cleaned once a week, no matter what.
Oh, did you not clean it yesterday?
Filthy little animals.
They are technically little animals.
Anyway, good week for us. Bad week. Well, the previous week. I expect this coming week will not be that much better for Qualcomm. Now, of course, this is riding on a big win for Qualcomm, right? I mean, they settled with Apple. Everything was roses going forward. Nothing could stop them. Because the big shadow, the sword hanging over their head was cut down. It was cast away. Oh, wait.
Except it wasn't. U.S. judge says Qualcomm violated antitrust law. Appeal plan shares plunge.
One of those terrible headlines.
It is, yeah. It doesn't really flow off the tongue, does it?
So, yes. Now,
you got screwed by this, right?
This is a twisted web. I sold some puts because Trump came out and he was like, "We're blocking Huawei." Right now, Huawei is like 30% of Qualcomm's sales. They sell Huawei a lot of modems, and then the stock went down, and I thought, volatility and high implied volatility. That's when you want to sell options. So I said, I'm gonna get some of that sweet volatility. And then this happened.
Got screwed.
Ouch. But anyway, people are surprised by this. Now it's kind of a twisted web. So the FTC and this judge, Lucy Coe, think that Qualcomm is a monopoly. She ruled Qualcomm has to renegotiate all of its licensing agreements. Now these are the licensing agreements that Apple was so hurt by, where it says you have to pay us. Even if you don't use our chips, you have to pay us. They were kind of crazy, if you look at them. You have to renegotiate those, and you can't just say no. You can't just say, no, we're not selling you any more chips. How crazy is that?
That is pretty insane, but that seems to be the world we live in now.
Now, the Department of Justice, you would think that the FTC and the Department of Justice would be on the same team, right? No. Department of Justice is pro-Qualcomm. They think this is a bad decision because Apple already settled. Apple admitted, yeah, they have the best modems ever, and what choice do we have? So this is going to be appealed. This is not over. This is going to be a long, drawn-out, horrible process.
What have you learned?
I've learned to be careful shorting big news stories.
Yeah.
None of that makes any difference for my May 24 puts. I actually got exercised. That was a pain in the ass.
Oh, it looks like you're using an ad blocker.
You'll have to read the very top of it.
I didn't get this when I read the story this morning. Top Navy official calls out government lawyers for spying on legal team of Navy SEAL. Can't read the rest.
Accused of war crimes. So, here's the weird thing about it, right? The Navy sent some emails to the lawyers defending this Navy SEAL.
Yes.
Some of which were in the Navy, and one of them was a Air Force Judge Advocate General employee. There was a click tracker. Now, okay, so the people affected, the defense team, claim it was malware. The people who sent it claim it was just like a click tracker, right? One of the images
Yeah.
had a tracking pixel.
Which I was kind of surprised that at a certain level of government they even allow you to show images in email, but apparently they do.
Well, if it was like literally the eagle.
The seal,
Like,
but yeah,
yeah.
but a lot of times like email, they don't show images. You have to like enable them.
That's
so.
true, yeah. Maybe
I read that and was a little surprised.
Maybe they were, in like an Outlook where it's like, show links and images. And they're like, well, this
Why
is
not?
from...
But I can't see my signature if I don't allow images, so...
So, now the affected parties, again, claim that it's incredibly invasive malware. But this is crazy. This is literally, if that's true, the Navy is infecting the Air Force with malware and other parts of the Navy.
Yes.
So now they're saying they can't even trust. I didn't switch the story ever. It doesn't matter because they can't see it.
It looks like you're using an ad blocker, so...
Or maybe I switched back. I don't even remember. But they're saying that now they can't trust anything because they don't know if they're infected. They don't know who else might have been infected.
Yeah.
And so this is insane, but...
All because of a seal.
It raises questions of like, should you be able to do that? Is that a national security thing?
Well, apparently
Why do you need to track that?
Who knows? We'll probably learn more about that story in the coming weeks.
It's highly politicized because I think Trump is pro these guys. So I think the charges are like they killed a guy in the Middle East and they didn't need to. And
I thought it was a few people. I'm not sure.
And then one guy turned the other guy in. And so they're saying, well, if you don't take this seriously, then no one's ever going to turn anybody else in.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but what I do know is probably shouldn't have tracking pixels or malware in our legal emails.
It's true.
I'm against it.
Put me down.
Now, Krista,
against it.
There's so much good television and movies that you've never seen.
Yes.
One of those is The Wire.
I haven't seen The Wire.
You should watch The Wire.
I heard a lot of people saying that like The Wire was a fantastic show and that they were going to hold Game of Thrones to the same standard as The Wire, and then they were like, oh no.
The Wire is better than Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
After the last season, there's no question.
Yeah.
But the thing about The Wire was based on the truth. Roughly. Like, Baltimore really
Extremely roughly.
Nah, not even. Baltimore really is that corrupt. They just had the mayor. Was she the mayor? I think she was the mayor who was like writing children's books and then using her influence to make sure that they sold. And they caught her doing it and she just like fled the city.
She just left.
She said she had pneumonia and she didn't show up for 3 or 4 weeks.
I'm deeply committed to the city of Baltimore. I have to go.
Anyway, it's not surprising based on that show and like how technologically behind everything in Baltimore was because of the budget that we see a headline like this.
Hackers are holding Baltimore's government computers hostage, and it's not even close to over. This is happening all over the place, though, right? It's not just Baltimore.
This is happening all over the place, although places like Baltimore are particularly susceptible to it because they probably don't even have much of an IT team.
No, probably not.
Here's the thing about it, and I'm not sure if this Gizmodo article covers this, but it's, this is funny. The ransom people, their quote is, "We won't talk more. All we know is money. Tick tack, tick tack, tick tack." Not tick tock.
Well, yeah, because they're probably not American. I
So
don't speak English.
This is an encryption ransomware, but how they got in is one of the NSA tools, the shadow brokers leak.
Oh yeah.
So the NSA created malware, then they lost it because of bad security, and now the city of Baltimore is shut down because of it.
There's screenshots in this article, right, where it's like, email is down. Please don't email anybody. Oh no, maybe it's gone.
Oh,
there's an anime though.
That's not a screenshot.
That looks like Pokemon.
It's a woman wearing a Pikachu suit. Anyway, another story related to this is so this shut down all their email, locked it up.
Maybe that's the article I'm thinking of that had the screenshot.
I didn't include that one.
Okay.
And so they were like, okay, just for the time being, we're going to create Gmail accounts for everybody so we can communicate. And Gmail has a feature where if you sign up like 30 or 40 people all at once in a short amount of time, they lock your account.
Because I think it's bots.
Something that still didn't have email. Bad times.
It seems like really getting into Gmail would maybe be, I guess it depends on what business they're conducting, but it seems like that would possibly be a security risk as well. But
It might have been where it's just, it's Gmail through your managed domain.
maybe, yeah.
I'm not sure exactly. Either way, it was that, or, what's the alternative? What would you do?
Snail mail, obviously. Everyone just has to mail stuff in Baltimore. That's just how things work.
Oh, sure.
Actually,
Yeah, why not?
I don't think that would work, but
Have you done any international traveling lately?
not lately.
Wendell has. He's, I guess he's in Taiwan at this point. They probably searched some of his stuff.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, he gets searched because he brings a bunch of tech crap.
Well, yeah.
And, they always think he's, assembling bombs or something.
And that's the thing. Your laptop, your phone, whatever electronic device, they can actually make you unlock it and go through your stuff. That seems unconstitutional, right? So maybe a bit of good news.
Senators proposed bill requiring warrants to search devices at the border. Number of searches on devices at the border quadrupled over the last 4 years.
I
They don't want that to be anymore.
I like to see statistics on, what do they find from that? How many terrorists have they stopped?
Sir, you have horrible taste in memes.
Yeah. What would they find that would then trigger them to go ahead?
You have so many pictures of your dog on your phone. Why?
Yeah, so, I don't know if this has any chance of passing, but it would certainly be a good move. Opponents would argue, I guess, that, you'd have to know in advance to get the warrant, right?
Yeah.
Because then, you can't just be keep them from getting on the plane because they won't let you. You could now, but you shouldn't be able to. Which is probably...
That's the
this
argument that
this
they
won't
make,
pass.
yeah. Oh, the site can't be
no.
reached. Oh, there it goes.
It's back. The T-Mobile and Sprint merger, that's been in the news, right?
It has.
Is
We've
it gonna
covered it
happen?
before.
Is it not going to happen? Who knows? Well, Mr. Ajit Pai has weighed in.
FCC chairman backs T-Mobile Sprint merger with new conditions. The conditions are he got paid, most likely.
How jealous are you of this guy? His cuffs and his pen match perfectly.
Is that a guy?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't tell from here. I can't see anyway, so I don't know.
Let's
I don't mean
just
that to be
say
offensive,
this
but
human.
this
How
human.
jealous are you of this human?
I assume that's a representative from Sprint, right? 'Cause
I don't know.
is it T-Mobile or Sprint who has
They're-
the pink? Because it's yellow and
Oh,
pink brand
yeah.
colors,
I
yeah.
think that's T-Mobile, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
It's
Pai
unrelated.
said he wanted more 5G.
He does.
That's what everybody wants, right? He wants more 5G.
And more Reese Cup coffee mugs.
I think he's happy with the one.
No, I think he needs more.
How often do you think he washes that?
Never. Actually, he probably doesn't ever watch. He probably has an intern to do that.
That's true, yeah. So he wants more 5G, so they have to agree to a lot of rural 5G build out. He doesn't want Boost to be a part of this, which is prepay, I think.
Yeah, it's yeah.
So he doesn't want the prepay market to be monopolized. So they have to spin Boost off, do the 5G stuff, lock prices for 3 years, and he gives it the okay. Still has to go through some other committees, though.
But what does this mean for Appalachian Wireless?
It means that a bunch of money will... Actually, Appalachian Wireless is owned outside of their networks.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't-
probably nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
It means that the 5G will never come to that area.
Yeah.
Appalachian Wireless will remain a monopoly.
Have you seen the giant billboards for Appalachian Wireless on some of the highways?
I've seen them over the years.
Oh, I love it. They're just a giant picture of just any cell phone. It's service, just that's all it says, and then
Well, as opposed to no service, because
which
that's
is
the
that's
alternative.
the alternative. Yeah, it's not even. It never brags about speed or anything. It's just you can get service.
When was the last time you got a robocall?
I think last week. I
got-
get them pretty often.
I got the one in Mandarin last week.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's actually it's lower than usual. You usually get 2 or 3 a week. They've been on the low end, but the Senate has finally passed that bill that they claim is going to get rid of our worries.
Senate passes bill cracking down on robocalls. This past, I think it was 30 something to 1. One person
You know who it was?
It was someone from Kentucky, Rand Paul, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, not a good week for Kentucky.
But Rand Paul, in his defense, he is like hardline, staunch libertarian, no regulation kind of guy.
Yeah,
So he's kind of following his
heart.
spirit here.
Yeah,
In this case, I think you sort of like look at it and you're like, okay, is there anything bad that can happen from this? Can this be used? Now, this can be
Scamming,
used. This
yeah.
can be used negatively because,
old people will believe anything.
no, we talked about it last week. This puts most of the power in the hands of the ISP. So
Ooh.
they decide who can call you and who can't. Their ability to monetize that would be huge.
That's true.
Because think about if you're like, oh, it's like, oh, I represent the Fraternal Order of the Police. I hate those more than any. And
I don't even answer them. Like, if I don't recognize the number, I don't answer it.
sometimes you're expecting a call from somebody that you don't know.
Oh.
But anyway, so if they went to Verizon and they were like, hey, we're going to give you 10%, but you got to let us call, then you're still going to get those calls.
That's true.
So I don't know. They it's $10,000 per call the whole time that you do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they determine how many calls you made, but that's a pretty big number. I mean, you got to think the robocaller is probably dialing out how many times a minute? Hundreds?
Yeah, per day, like probably nonstop.
Yeah. Well, they just roll with the time zones.
Yeah.
So they're like at least 18 hours a day they're active, I'd say. So that'd be a big number. I think it's true that the FCC has fined a bunch of them, but never collected the fines. So it's like...
It's on the books, but
Yeah.
no one actually cares.
Last week, we learned about the moonquakes, which I thought was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
The moon is it's shrinking like a grape and fractured and just shaking constantly. It's a terrible, terrible, inhospitable place. Which brings us to this.
Let's live there. NASA officially orders its first segment of a lunar space station.
There it is. Or at least that's what it's
It's
proposed to look like.
an artist rendering.
Got some nice, I assume these are solar panels.
Yep.
And these nice jets here. Now this guy is, no one actually lives here, right?
It's just like a station go between.
No.
That's what
This thing is just the power module and
okay.
the engines.
Okay.
So this like keeps it in orbit and lets it move around a little bit and provides power to the pieces that are coming next.
Okay.
I think maybe like one person can live here, and that'll be like the maintenance guy.
Oh, that would be lonely, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, be like a more extreme version of the lighthouse.
Oh, yeah. Because you can't even just go outside and take a walk.
You could once.
That was, wasn't that the original plan for that, to make that like a midway stop if you're going to Mars? And now they were like, let's just do it on the moon.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I think I'd kind of rather go to Mars, though.
It's kind of cool. So you'll fly to that thing, and then that has lunar landing modules. And so you get in one of those like an elevator to the moon.
Oh.
Yeah.
To the quaking,
Right.
shaking moon.
So this is a funny headline because remember the last time they did this and it didn't do anything? And it probably still won't.
Do Not Tract Act would give users more power.
No, it won't.
It won't. I have to admit, I don't think have we ever run a story from this site. I liked the design of this site.
Duo.com. Let's look at it.
It was very simple and like it looked nice and mobile.
Yeah, that's
There weren't a
cool.
ton of pop-ups. That'll probably change now that I've said something.
Yeah, not a bad site. So basically this is like the old Do Not Track, except they're going to enforce it more,
Yeah.
hopefully. And it would still be built into your software. And presumably your browser or whatever you're using would send this Do Not Track signal, and then it'd be up to the people on the other end to respect it.
Well, it's like it's not mailing, it's phones where you can say like, don't call me, do not call lists.
But there is a Do Not Track.
Yeah.
Like, I think most of the browsers don't even put it in there anymore because no one respects it. So, it used to exist. Google famously they're like, no one else does this, so we're going to stop. Now this story, I read the story, read the
I
headline.
like this story.
And I thought that's kind of a nothing story, but Krista will love it.
I did. I appreciate it a lot. An RV camp sprang up outside Google's headquarters. Now Mountain View wants to ban it. With house prices out of reach, where will the van dwellers go?
Where will they go?
Our Van Dwellers is an actual subreddit. And there's a whole series of YouTube videos about people who build out vans to live in.
So they got a picture here,
Oh, they cut it off on the desktop version.
and this is kind of just an average street.
And it's just covered in RVs. See, this isn't even stealthy, though, because a lot of times if you watch the videos on YouTube, people it looks like just a normal van. And, like, you wouldn't know that someone was living in it. Those you can definitely tell. And, like, the article talks about, like, one of the cops walking down the street and there's sewage dripping out of all the RVs, and it's like, okay, that's a public health issue, and that's gross, but...
Well, yeah, but see, there's so many of these people.
Yeah.
I don't think stealth is an option. Because, I mean, you're just fighting for any place to park at this
That's
point.
true.
Like this, can you imagine how pissed you'd be if you live in a $2 million, 3-bedroom ranch, and then on your street at all times...
There's raw sewage
is
just getting
blocked by
pumped out.
RVs.
Yeah.
Oh, disgusting. So the problem is...
There's too many people there.
Well, you don't have to say there. The housing is a nightmare. The average rent was what, like $4,000?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, and then some people were saying even Google employees were like, I could get something for like $2,000, but I wouldn't have any money left over to save or like do anything else.
So they're just living in the RVs, which is not legal. And the people are complaining. The rich tech people who actually can afford a house are complaining about the poor tech people.
Or the retirement. Well, and they're saying too, like things like teachers and stuff they can't afford to live there either. So like it's just becoming a town for Google.
They've got to have a McDonald's in that town, right? How do you staff a McDonald's in that environment?
That's one of the things they talked about in this article. And they're like, it's becoming more and more of a problem because people don't want to commute.
Yeah.
Just to go serve the rich people their coffee.
It's you know what? All the poor people should just move out of there. Just go somewhere else, and let the rich adjust. Right?
To not having a lower class.
Just wipe out those property prices, destroy them completely. But you know what would happen is Google would just bus in everything that they need.
They would, yeah. Well, I mean, they kind of do that anyway because there was the story about the woman who's a security guard, and she said that like she just gets like half her meals from there and then cooks at night in her van. And I think they said she was renting her van, $800 a month to rent a van. I mean, it was nice, like they had done up the inside nice, but like $800 a month for
Couldn't
a
you
van.
go somewhere else and rent a van from maybe like crossing state lines with rentals is not a thing?
Yeah. Well, I would think you would just buy a van and then,
man.
renovate it yourself. So then you own it.
You could do your van conversion business. Just go there and do it.
Well, someone clearly already had that
Yeah.
idea if they're renting it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
She didn't mention the name of it in the article. We'll have to inquire.
they
Level
say,
1 investigates.
do what you love. You can turn it into a job. You get to renovate.
Except
vans
I
all day.
have no skill at like carpentry or electrical or
You learn
anything.
as you go.
Anything that you would actually need to be successful.
Remember net neutrality, Krista?
I do remember that.
On the week of Memorial Day, we must remember net neutrality because it's dead, and it's been attempted to revive it in a variety of ways. Of course, California did their thing. Was it Texas did one or?
There's several states who tried to kind of roll their own.
All those were put on pause while the federal version was worked on. Right? They're like, hey, don't bother because we got this amazing federal version. Well.
47 Democrats cave on net neutrality after GOP calls bill dead on arrival. The person who called it that was Turtle Man. Not a good week for Kentucky.
He actually controls which bills are brought to the Senate.
Yeah.
So he is hugely powerful and evil.
He's
So
got that hard shell.
they said, if you bring it to the Senate the way it is, no chance. We're not doing it. Make these concessions, and the concessions are just ridiculous.
Might as well not even have net
It's like
neutrality at that point.
5G isn't affected at all. If you have more than a gigabyte or gigabit plan, not affected. And there were just all these crazy concessions. So if this gets passed, it's probably worse than nothing because now we have a federal law that's friendly to the industry.
Yeah.
Who could have seen that coming?
Bad week for Kentucky.
Oh, I should have put this story with the other moon story. What a terrible mistake.
Yeah. NASA executive quits weeks after appointment to lead 2024 moon landing plan. It almost makes me wonder if he was just kind of like, we're not going to Mars, I'm out.
No, he was. Well, so here's the timeline. Remember when Mike Pence gave that speech? And he was like, we're going to the moon. I don't care what you have to do. We're doing it. Shut up. We're doing it. We're going to the moon. We're going back. And NASA was like, okay.
We kind of learned everything we really need to know, but okay.
So they went back and they did the math and they were like, all right, here's what it's going to cost. I think it was 1.6 billion. They're like, we need 1.6 billion to go to the moon. And so, yeah, 1.6 billion down payment, not total. And they went back to Washington. They're like, this is what we need. And Washington was like, ooh.
It costs money to do space exploration.
That's a big number, isn't it? So they didn't give it to him. And this person, I don't know if it's a male or female.
I think it was a
Mark
dude.
Strangelo.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm done. I'm out. If you're not going to give me my 1.6 billion, I've got better things to do than land on the moon.
That's true. Well, I mean, there's other space companies now.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to work for NASA.
So the one thing they did announce, actually, we didn't mention in the other story, that lunar floating thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's going up most likely on an Amazon rocket.
Oh, yeah. It's being worked on. It's a cross-developmental thing.
Bad news for Mr. Musk. I bet he really wanted that.
We've got some bad news about Musk throughout this whole
Hasn't been a good week for
episode.
him.
Yeah. Bad for Kentucky, bad for
Krista,
Musk.
right now, what is your total amount of Overwatch unopened loot boxes?
450.
Because she knows that right
Well,
off.
because I was playing earlier and I was like, man, I should open some of these. And then I was like, I don't care. I don't open them anymore. I just play the game because I enjoy it.
Now, I think those are actually okay.
They are under this ruling. Anti-loot box bill could radically change how video games are sold. Basically, they don't want you to have loot boxes, but they're okay with ones that are just cosmetic.
So the wording, it's actually, they went to a lot of...
Yeah, it's actually pretty thorough. It's like
I mean, I'm not going to read all this, but basically it has to give you something that you would normally get by playing the game.
Yes.
Or it gives you an advantage in a multiplayer scenario.
Basically anything that can change the gameplay is not allowed.
Oh, well, but DLC is still okay. Like, they can sell you more experience, but they can't sell it to you if you could unlock it by playing the game.
Oh.
And here's one of the big ones, though. Any kind of randomness or chance that you're paying for could be a problem. So those Overwatch loot boxes, that might become an issue. Like Hearthstone could destroy the entire business model because those random card packs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's also a thing about, this is only supposed to be for kids, right? So it's for kids games or games where you constructively believe that children might play it, which is every game in the universe.
Yeah, that would only put games that are like...
It doesn't matter even if they are mature.
It wouldn't matter.
Because the whole like constructive belief thing, a paragraph about that, it's not like you can't say, oh, children aren't allowed to play this, so we can assume that they're not playing it. It's like, no, you know better. Everybody knows that kids play Call of Duty, so you can't make that argument. So the only option would be to like put a credit card lock on every game that you play. And then you'd have to like click a checkbox. It's like, I am the person playing this game. No one else is playing it, especially not children. Which would be great. I would go for that.
Yeah. I don't know. It does kind of seem like it would maybe make the gaming experience, it's terrible, but maybe make the gaming experience a little bit better. If you're not having to like, if game designers aren't relying on, oh, well, we'll just make them we'll nickel and dime them so they can skip ahead.
No, I'm talking about keeping kids out of it.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, probably it's a good thing, but then you get like to the Hearthstone thing.
Where it's like kind of that weird gray area.
Hearthstone is a game that's free, and presumably, if you just ground it out 24/7, you could eventually get everything that you want. But the business model requires that you have some people who are lazy.
Who will just pay to win.
Just will throw money at it. So, I don't know. And if you do keep the kids out, as pleasant as that would be, something like Fortnite would probably fail overnight.
Yeah.
So, if you like to talk a lot of shit on the internet, which, some people do. Some people in these comments especially seem to enjoy
Listen,
it.
I'm getting into heated debates about what Kelligorm and Griffin could have done differently.
So, but aren't those civil?
They are pretty civil, yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever call somebody some sort of Lord of the Rings themed negative
Slur,
name?
no.
Did
Snaga.
Did they have slurs for the people?
There's a, I think, is it Snaga?
Are there any?
That means it's slave in Orcish.
Are there any racial slurs in Lord of the Rings?
Not really. The orcs call Saruman Sharku, which is old man.
What was the thing in Dwarf Fortress Friday? I've been calling my cats that
Oh.
all weekend. The Crundle.
The Crundles, yeah.
It's like
Oh no, we've burrowed into a thing of Crundles.
Anyway,
Unrelated.
good news if you are one of those people and you like to talk that shit and you want to stay anonymous.
Redditor allowed to stay anonymous. Court rules. In a copyright lawsuit, a Jehovah's Witness has been given protections regarding anonymous online free speech.
So this guy posted.
It was like documents for like their financial. No,
Well, it
kind
was
of,
their.
right? Or their donation
It was
policies.
how they went about trying to get people to give them money.
Yeah.
They're like, I think they had like a pricing table and how they contacted people, but also one of the like advertisements that they used to try and milk money out of people.
Yeah.
They were not happy about that.
But yeah, they kept trying to say it was like copyright violation. Take it down, take it down, take it down.
So, and they also sued him. And so this judge ruled you can sue him, but you're suing his Reddit name, not his real name. It doesn't have to be. Because he made the argument, he was like, listen, guys, this is the crazy, powerful church, which I'm still in, and they will destroy me if they find who I am.
Didn't he say they would like excommunicate, or whatever that would be for Jehovah's Witness, excommunicate?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Which is weird, like, why would you be posting that if you still wanted to be part of it?
Yeah, I don't.
Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been the big winner in the trade war. It's up to like $8,000, right? I
Is it
checked
back up?
today. Yeah. Well, I mean, relatively.
Yeah, not like it was before, but
So that's good news. But when Bitcoin starts to inch up, a lot of people in power start to get a little nervous. And this guy basically voiced exactly what the creators of Bitcoin said it was about, and reinforced, like, if you're a hardcoin, like, Bitcoin libertarian, this reinforces every reason that you want Bitcoin.
Bitcoin threatens to take power from the U.S. Federal Reserve.
So he basically he came out and said, yeah, the petrodollar, the fact that all trade internationally has to go through dollars, that's why we're super powerful. We have a monopoly on trade. Bitcoin would take that away, and it must be stopped.
It's like, but isn't that the point?
I think China's doing a lot more than Bitcoin, and they're working toward ending that. We have heard from Facebook and who else? Was it Apple? Yeah, Tim Cook.
It was Apple, yeah.
They see the writing on the wall, and they know that the torches and the pitchforks are coming. And they're trying to get ahead of it. And now Microsoft has joined the pack.
Microsoft calls for federal regulation of the tech industry. Somebody please tell us what to do. But don't take our money.
Right. So they know, I think they see what's happening in Europe, and they're like, oh, we need regulations that we write.
Yes.
And we need those tomorrow.
We need to start bribing people now and start the lobbying now.
So not surprising that Microsoft jumps in on that. I can't imagine where they would have gotten the framework for that idea. Certainly not from something like the net neutrality bill that the telecommunication companies wrote.
No.
That wouldn't be it.
They'll just show up at a meeting and it's like, how do we do that? That same thing that you guys did with them. Can we do that too? Let's make that deal.
Lampposts.
Yes.
It's the kind of thing you never think about it.
I didn't, and even when I read this article, I was like, I don't understand what the problem is.
But if they went away, you'd miss them.
I would miss them.
Yeah.
Kind of. Maybe.
You think about, I mean, the alley and street we have to walk through just to get to our cars.
You know what? I would actually be sad because I have a lamppost near my back door, and I would have to waste money on electricity to turn on my back door light.
I have a light on the power pole at my house, but because I'm out in the country, I have to pay for it.
Really?
It's $12 a month.
What?
Yeah. I can opt out and just turn it off, but like you say, it's super useful.
It is kind of useful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I would probably not pay for it if that was me, but
You never know what's lurking in that yard out there. If I have a home invader,
You have that whole section for snakes.
well, you know,
The tall grass
and
for
I
snakes.
want them to have illumination
so they can see where they're going
while
in the
they
grass.
mate in my tall grass.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I ever have to shoot somebody in my yard, I want to be able to see them, right? I want to identify my target.
Well, you don't have like a, I don't know anything about guns, like a night scope, night vision. You don't have anything like
Those
that?
are like, they start at like $6,000.
I can believe you've been,
They don't mount on my pistols.
what, you don't have a sniper nest set up on your porch?
You would get a flashlight for your pistol.
Okay. I don't know anything about
But
that
then
stuff.
if they have a gun, all they have to do is shoot at the light. So,
It's true.
You know,
Do you think a meth head who's out there looking for stuff is going to have a gun?
they could steal one easily.
They
What if
could.
what if the house they hit before was full of guns?
They hit your house before?
No, they're robbing houses.
Wouldn't they should rob the old people next door to you first.
And that guy's probably got a gun.
You think?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
I think that guy spends all his money on lawn care.
You know, he might have a little left over at the end of the month. Anyway,
Sorry.
lampposts.
Lampposts. Revealed 5G rollout is being stalled by Is it Rouse or Rouse?
I think in this case it's a route. This is, you know.
I say row in my head when I read it, but I think it's pronounced row.
But this is Eurotrash.
Yeah,
talk,
it's
you know.
row. Over lampposts. People are upset about lampposts. Who
Well,
owns
they're
them?
not upset about lampposts. The communication companies want 5G towers on lampposts. Makes a lot of sense because
They're already there.
they have to be high enough to be over top of all of the cars and trucks, but low enough that they're not like, you know, because you want to be close to them.
Yeah.
So it's a proximity game. Lamppost is perfect. But who owns the lampposts, Krista? We got like 6 lampposts out here. Who they belong to?
The city, I imagine, but
You imagine so. And some cities are like, hey, bro, want to use our lampposts? Grease these palms a little bit. Yeah, make it rain a little.
and almost every city that they've tried to do this in has said that, which has caused a problem.
It rains a lot in the UK. And so, yeah, the city's like, pay us. And the telecommunication companies say, no, we shouldn't have to pay you that much. This is for everybody. This is 5G. It's good for people. And so lawsuits happen.
And so many lawsuits.
So
that
many-
it's
'cause
clogged up the legal system.
Every little city and town, everybody they come to, it ends up in court. And so now it could take 2 years to work through all these court cases as Krista burrows into her blanket.
Listen, it's chilly.
Where else? What other news anchor burrows into a blanket?
We have a high standard of professionalism here at
Yeah.
Level 1 Text.
You know how on the all the local news stations they have like the really hot weather girls now?
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the new thing. Can you imagine if one came out bundled
Just
up
all
in a
bundled up.
blanket?
I don't think there's any chick weather girls around here.
It seems to be more in like the bigger markets.
Yeah.
Those
Chris Bailey is a lying hoe.
but do women consider him attractive?
No, I don't think so.
No.
No. I follow him on Twitter because I wanted to hear about the weather, and he has opinions about everything. That was
That's a
mistake.
good weatherman should.
Yeah,
You know who else has a lot of opinions on things? Julian Assange.
he does.
But he doesn't get to share them with the world anymore.
Wikileaks, Ecuador to hand Assange belongings to U.S.
So yeah, when they went in there and grabbed him and by the collar and took him out of the embassy, he had stuff. He had electronics and, you know,
A cat,
and
apparently.
the cat had been taken before.
Yeah.
They covered that. But all of his various things, and so the embassy boxed them up and called up the U.S. and they were like, hey, you want these? Because we don't need them. And a lot of people are saying that if you give somebody asylum, handing their belongings, including their sensitive electronics, over to the people that you were giving them asylum from, may be in bad faith.
Well, just a little. But that kind of tells me they were a little sick of his shit.
Well, was it so? Ecuador went through a presidential change,
Yeah.
and the new guy hates him.
Yeah, well, because didn't he leak stuff about him, too?
I think he hated him before that.
Oh, okay.
So they are considerably anti-Assange at this point. He's going to
Talk about biting the hand that feeds you. I mean, I appreciate the commitment
Yeah,
to the
right.
cause, but
50 weeks for not for dodging the arrest in the UK. Then they're thinking about handing him over to was it Sweden where he had the rape charge?
I think it was Sweden.
And then he
I
has
don't trust you to remember that, but I think it was Sweden.
I have a mental block with Sweden.
Sweden and Switzerland.
Then they're going to put him on trial there, and then the U.S. will probably get him if there's anything left. Who knows? They might. If Sweden puts him in one of their like nice prisons, they're probably doing him a favor.
Yeah.
Giving him a life sentence. He should plead guilty to the rape just to go to prison in Sweden. Because if he comes here, it's over.
It is over.
They're going to waterboard him for like 4 weeks, and then they're going to put him in a Supermax and hire some Bloods and Crips to stab him. That's how that's going to go. Remember we were talking about Microsoft begging to be regulated.
Yes.
And I think this has a lot to do with it. They see what's happening in Europe, and they are terrified.
Google's ad system under EU probe for how it spreads your private data. Why does that not read correctly to me? Am I having a stroke?
I hope not. Because I don't know anything
just
about
leave.
treating that. Just close the door.
Just,
Turn the equipment off. I don't want anything to happen to it.
just leave me to die.
So, yeah, this is once again...
Google's ad system under EU probe for how it spreads your private data.
Spreads, right. So they're saying, like...
That reads weird to me.
When it's possible that certain things about you could be passed to the advertiser from your Google search. So Google knows things about you. So it's not just, hey, your ad got a click. It's like, hey, your ad got a click.
And it's this kind of person.
And we know this about the person.
Yeah.
All right. So they say that's not GDPR compliant. Probably some more fines coming for them. And they probably really do that.
Oh, they do. Well, Google, at least when I'm on my phone sometimes, it'll say, like, if I'm Googling something, it's like, hey, we're just letting you know that we know this, but, like, we have a profile for you, and it says that you're interested in this, this, and this.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, why are you telling me this, Google? It's making me uncomfortable when I just wanted to Google something stupid.
Now, so let me try to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to guess that hammocks.
Yeah.
They guess that you're interested in hammocks, mushrooms.
Yeah.
Backpacks.
Yeah.
White supremacy.
No, I think that's yours.
Oh.
I think that's your profile.
Note to self: get Krista a different wedding gift. Remember when Apple got busted for hurting the? I'm not a white supremacist.
Yeah, I know. It was a dark joke, but we kind of played it off really seriously. But I mean, as far as I know, he's not. But
can you really keep that a secret?
If you're a white,
I think a lot of people are like secretly
white supremacist.
Apple, they did those performance updates, and they degraded your phone to protect the battery. Right? That was their excuse. Hey, we're not slowing it down, so you go out and buy a new one. We're protecting your battery. The fact that you're probably going to go buy a new one, that's
just a bonus.
Yeah. Nothing to do with it. Well, the UK says, we really don't trust you with that explanation, and so from now on, you got to tell us everything you do in that regard.
Apple tells UK watchdog group it will notify consumers if iPhone upgrades lead to slowdowns. Apple also holds fingers crossed behind back while making that promise to UK watchdog.
Well, again, I don't know if they're crossing their fingers or not, because they are terrified of these giant fines.
Yeah.
I mean, the EU is not playing games anymore. They're just sucking those businesses dry.
I mean, as much as we've all been making jokes about Eurotrash, that is kind of... It is a little bit nice, I guess, to see them have to play a little nicer, I guess. But
here's my worry about that, though. Because you're talking about two horrifically corrupt groups.
That's
right?
true. Will they just race each other to the bottom?
Big business and big government. In America, they work together. And that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I'll admit. But there's that delicate balance, right? It's like two giants fighting, and we're under them just being like drenched with their blood and viscera as it falls down and poisons our existence. But what happens if one giant consumes all the life energy of the other one and becomes unstoppable? Where does it turn its ire after that?
Well,
that's what you got to think about, folks.
It's going to come down the beanstalk.
And when a government gets too powerful, some weird things start to happen.
Wikipedia to fight Turkey ban in European Human Rights Court.
Now, that's not Wikipedia banning information about turkeys. You can find all the turkey information you want on Wikipedia. It's the country of Turkey.
Ryan had some confusion. He had to Google that this morning.
I think Turkey's in the EU. I can't remember.
I feel like that's right, and yet Turkey's like one of those countries that's kind of right on the border where I'm not really sure.
Well, they're not on the border politically. It's despotism.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, though. But like, it doesn't seem like they should be in the EU, but I think they are.
But I assume because European Human Rights Court, they would have to be in the EU, right? So
yeah.
I think that's what's going on here. And I don't know, is Wikipedia human right?
It's information. I mean,
I suspect if in that court case, Turkey will say that it's misinformation. Who decides?
well, that's the beautiful thing about Wikipedia. It's the encyclopedia anybody can edit.
I think Turkey's been caught.
And if everyone who used Wikipedia just paid $1,
they just recently announced they've got a ton of money.
yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people were paying that $1.
As terrible as it is, as much as I use Wikipedia, I've never given them $1.
You know what? That's for other people to do.
It's someone else's problem, even though I use the service all the time.
Right. Game of Thrones. I finally watched the final season of Game of Thrones. You know who didn't watch it? The entirety of China.
Yeah. Game of Thrones finale didn't air in China. Some fans are blaming the trade war.
Ouch.
Sucks for them.
HBO was questioned about this, and they're like, we sent
it to them.
We gave it to them. They've got it. And so, seems like it is the trade war. They also, there was another TV show that was pro-Korean or something like that. They shut that down. And they've been re-airing a lot of like really pro-communist, anti-West.
What did they see in Game of Thrones that was so objectionable, other than the fact it was terrible?
No. See, they aired all of season 6 except for that final episode. So that was just like a big F
Was it,
you.
yeah. Was it just, yeah.
It's like, hey,
You didn't miss anything.
don't watch this Western garbage. Watch these fine communist propaganda films instead. So,
Honestly, I don't know. I think I would have preferred the communist propaganda film.
now, so I was watching season 6, and when I hit
season 8.
8. When I hit episode 4, so it's weird.
It just takes a nosedive.
It's weird how, like Game of Thrones, some files just existed on my computer. I don't know how they got there.
Yeah, me too.
And I watched them. Episode 4, it was in French.
Oh.
So that was a bit of a speed bump. I worked through it. Anyway, let's move on. I didn't pre-click the next story that time.
Did you just, did you watch it with Wendell? Because Wendell speaks French.
Does he?
He speaks a little bit.
I don't think
I would say it's country boy French.
I think he speaks like 4 words.
Yeah. So he speaks French. He's fluent.
So you can't...
Repeat that lie. Every time, like, Wendell mentions anything in the forum, just ask him a question in French. He'll respond.
Huawei has been taken down. Actually, we should put this story after that, because we're going to talk a lot about Huawei in a minute. But they're not the only tech firm from China, because now the U.S. government, they are so bloodthirsty. They say, now that we've destroyed Huawei, and we've, like when a
How
dog...
many more must I slay?
When a dog like gets something that just shakes it in its mouth after it's dead.
Yeah.
And they've dropped Huawei, and now they're ready for another one, and it's going to be Hikvision. I've never heard of
this either. Hikvision sounds like a Kentucky
Eastern Kentucky public access.
The U.S. is reportedly considering blacklisting Chinese surveillance tech firm Hikvision.
Tonight on Hikvision, we're going to review these folding
See, I was
knives.
thinking more like it was an eye doctor, like Hikvision.
Anyway,
Dr. Bubba.
it's these guys make technology that's used in audio-visual equipment, and often it's built in surveillance items, right?
Right.
So they're saying we can't have these very basic surveillance components because, listen, the U.S., we like to do surveillance. We surveil 24/7, and we can't be being spied on while we spy.
It's unacceptable.
That's ridiculous. So, Hikvision, going to get burned by that. Now, as I was saying about Huawei earlier, like literally 10 seconds
Seconds
ago.
ago, yeah.
Just hit after hit after hit. Trump said nobody does business with Huawei, and you think like, that's going to be bad, but you don't realize how far that reaches until this week.
Huawei can't officially use microSD cards in its phones going forward.
Ouch. That hurts.
Yeah.
That's real bad. A lot of phones use microSD for internal storage,
yeah.
and swappable storage even. Although they're less and less likely to give that to us these days. So the SD cards. Oh, this is a duplicate. The
I knew we had a duplicate in there.
You just can't use them because it's like a SD consortium, and you have to be a member. And guess who doesn't get to be a member anymore?
It doesn't get to sit at the cool kids table anymore.
Well, it's an even more important cool kids table that they will not be sitting at.
Huawei, our memo tells staff to stop working with China's tech giant.
All their phone processors. Ouch. Yeah. So basically, all the Qualcomm chips, the Apple chips. No. You can't do it. You can't be a part of it. You can't license it. You can't buy their blueprints for the transistors. You can't do anything. You're so screwed. And it doesn't stop there, Krista. I know you thought it did.
It did. There's a third story here. Panasonic scrutinizes relationship with Huawei.
So Panasonic's not sure yet, but I'd say they're probably just going to, why take the risk, right?
Well, they need the social points to sit at the cool table, and they can't be friends with Huawei.
That's true.
Yeah. The cool tech table.
Now, you might feel kind of bad for Huawei after all that, right?
Yeah, no one wants to sit at the uncool kid table.
And
uncool.
So maybe you're like, do they really deserve it? Well, the Wall Street Journal has come out with what could be called a hit piece to remind us that, yes, in fact, they are pure evil.
Huawei's year-long rise is littered with accusations of theft and dubious ethics.
So they talk a lot
it's
about...
a nice illustration.
Yeah.
They actually hired an illustrator just for the hit piece.
It's got the logo.
Like that's not stock photography. Someone was hired to make
nice. That. These blue smudges, I don't know what that represents. Just filling white space, maybe?
Yeah, probably just it was an aesthetic choice by the illustrator.
So this is stories about people. Huawei would hire people. And they'd be like, go and pretend to be a customer and take this money and tell this company that you're going to buy their stuff, but you want a sample. And then they'd send them a motherboard or something. They'd rush it back to Huawei. They'd pull it apart and reverse engineer it. And
pull it apart, eat it.
They sent one guy to a trade show, and he was just like pulling shit apart at the trade show and taking pictures of everything. He had to be escorted out. They deleted all of his devices. But it's just a lot of anecdotal stories about Huawei being basically evil and stealing everything that they can. And everybody knows that's not how you go about that. You steal the way Apple steals, not the way Huawei steals.
You just make it look more slick and pretty.
And then The Verge is just heaping on with a specific story about this one executive. I don't think you need to read that headline. This is more just piling on a little bit more.
Huawei executive accused of helping to steal trade secrets. I read it for you. Read it for you.
I said you don't.
If there was a sub headline, I'd read it too.
You don't need to. So yeah, you can't say Huawei did nothing wrong if you believe these stories.
I don't know what to believe anymore.
You know what? All I know is I don't use Huawei phones.
Yeah.
Indonesia. Mm-hmm. They've had some riots.
Just a few.
They had an election.
I feel like we've heard a lot of stories about Indonesia this year.
They do good stuff like this a lot.
Yeah.
So they had an election, and a lot of people thought that the incumbent guy was going to be taken out. There was a lot of support for the new guy. He didn't get taken out. Maybe something suspicious happened. I don't know. We don't know.
We can guess, but
what we do know is there were some riots, and the government reacted like this.
Indonesia restricts WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram usage following deadly riots because they don't want people to know what's going on.
Interestingly enough, stuff like this, so like here's an image that you might have seen on your WhatsApp, or you might have seen a video of what's going on here.
It's just people walking down the street. Don't worry about that.
It looks
like your ad blocker's turned on.
They waited a long time to pop that up on this
site.
So you could post a message, but they would delete all of the media that was attached to your message. So like video of rioting or anything like that happening, it's like, yeah, we're not going to show that to anybody. Talk about it, don't show it. And people with VPNs could still post, so it was definitely being limited at the government level, not by Facebook or whoever. That was a lot of government news.
Facebook was like, oh, finally, it's not us this week.
Yeah, they got to be the good guys. So
Yeah.
like, all right,
Well, it's not
we
us.
support the people of Indonesia. 55 minutes. Wow.
It was a lot. And it's just government. It was a very long section.
And
today.
tomorrow
We have some other long sections
we'll
this
be
time.
doing 2 fairly long sections, and then a rare long Friday, because it'll be 3 sections.
It's going to be a crazy
So-
week with Wendell gone.
Prepare yourself for that. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye. Hello. Today is Wednesday, May 29th. It's almost the end of the month. And it's almost June.
Wow. Where has the time gone?
You're right. Actually, I do kind of feel that way. And that makes me wonder if I'm old now.
Everybody feels that way. Even as a kid, you felt that way because it's like,
Summer break, yeah. It's
Anyway.
like, oh, summer break's almost over.
Time, they say time flies when you're having fun. So you know who might not feel that way about May 2019? Elon Musk. Because he's not having any fun.
Not a good time for him. Tesla shares drop after a report says its autopilot system was engaged during a fatal crash.
Oh.
Yikes.
Now, this is a crash that happened several years ago, but the investigation has taken this long, and they figured out. Originally, he was like, "This had to be driver issues."
Yeah.
Right? But
The driver did this.
autopilot was on. The autopilot made the choice to drive into the truck. Bad news. That's
just the beginning.
And then we hear from Consumer Reports.
Consumer Reports the latest autopilot far less competent than a human, which is a terrifying thing to think about in the context of driving.
When you think of the average human who
Yeah.
drives. So they rolled out a new update for the autopilot,
They did.
a lane-changing update. Consumer Reports, they did the testing and stuff, and they found out that it cuts people off. It doesn't have any awareness. So, like, let's say you're in the right lane, and there's someone coming real quick in the left lane.
It does
It'll
not
pull
register that, yeah.
right out in front of them. Doesn't care. It will pass on the right, and that's not even legal. Although I do that always. If there's 3 lanes, you're in the middle, I'll always pass you on the right, just to remind you that you're a piece of shit
For not getting over.
because you don't belong in that lane. If the lane to the right of you is empty, that's where you belong. Unless you're going faster than the cars in front of you. And it just did a bunch of bad things. It would
Law enforcement as well, I think they said, had reviewed it and said that it was doing things that were illegal.
probably the passing on the right.
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, it's Consumer Reports are generally well known to be pretty fair and balanced. They don't take advertising, so that's subscription based. So they have a reputation of like you can't really bribe them or whatever. You probably can, but anyway, maybe the big ICE companies came in and was like, hey, autopilot sucks, but probably it sucks.
Yeah.
On top of this, and I didn't include all these stories, but Wedbush and a couple other big Wall Street analysts came out against Tesla this week,
Yeah.
one after the other. One guy set the price target at $10, which basically would put them out of business. There's talks of like, maybe Ford should just buy them and change the CEO. Maybe that's what should happen. So, real tough time for Tesla.
Not a good week.
So, what about Musk's other companies? They're doing well, right?
Mixed results, mixed bag. Elon Musk says Hyperloop Tunnel is now just a normal car tunnel because this is simple and it just works.
Now, the history of the boring tunnel.
It was going to be a space tube.
It was going to be like the tube at the bank.
Yeah.
Vacuum.
But with people.
You get a big pod capsule full of people, and it gets sucked to the other end rapidly. And then they were like, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're going to do electric skates like maglev, frictionless. It's going to shoot to the other side of that tunnel. And then they're like, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to get regular cars, Teslas, electric cars. We're going to put wheels on the side of them so they can't get off the track, and we're just going to drive them through it.
And it's not even that fast, I think, right? It's like 50 miles an hour?
They managed to get it up to 127.
Oh.
You're thinking of, for 50 miles an hour, now we got to go kind of slow.
I think it was the bus, right?
Because Chromium has crashed 4 times already with these number of tabs. I don't know why. But you're thinking of Las Vegas.
I am. Las Vegas orders up a boring company loop.
So that's not the picture of it. There it is.
Yeah, that's it.
This thing goes 50 miles an hour. But again, this is just an electric car. Or an electric van, I guess you would call that.
Hashtag van life.
So it's less than a mile. And it's going to take people from one part of this convention center to another destination quickly. Well, 50 miles an hour. So I guess that is good news in that it is the first paying customer for the Boring Company.
I almost makes me wonder if like Elon Musk knows him somehow. Or if his family knows him. Or...
Who knows? And finally, actual good news for Mr. Musk.
SpaceX launches 60 Starlink satellites on Thrice-Flown rocket. Sticks the landing.
So these are the Starlink satellites.
Thrice-Flown.
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 You like that?
I do.
You got to roll your R there.
Yeah.
These are the Starlink satellites that are going to be like the mesh internet satellite network. So it's kind of cool. They were thinking about like, how are we going to like get these satellites out of the ship, right? And they worked on all these like launching mechanisms and springs and stuff. And they're like, you know what? Let's just shake them out, you know? So it did like a roll, and the centrifugal force dropped them right out. Everything worked perfectly. They're in orbit, and they've made contact with them.
It's working. So that is literally the only good news. Everything else, not so good.
Comcast works hard, right?
They do something.
Work hard to subvert the will and the rights of the American public.
Yes.
And few companies work harder. Federal government, but they're not a company, you know, so you can't really count them.
Yeah.
But when it comes to disclosing all of that lobbying, there's so much of it. They work so hard. They say, bro, we can't do that.
Comcast does so much lobbying that it says disclosing it all is too hard. Now, in the article, they say, we already disclosed most of it, but they don't give a number. They just say most.
Federal level.
Yeah.
They don't do it on the state level.
Yeah.
And that's obviously where they're fighting the net neutrality war right now. So they have these activist investors who are Quakers, which is weird that Quakers would invest in Comcast, right? But
do they do tech? Like, do they allow like electricity?
I don't think like they're not like the Amish.
Yeah.
But so they probably do use the internet and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're very strict about, you know, what media they consume and stuff, I imagine. Anyway, these Quakers have enough of a voting share that they can, you know, call for stuff like this. So they're the ones that want all of the lobbying exposed, which is a good thing.
Good guy Quakers.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
I love their oats.
Their oats are amazing.
That's the low-hanging fruit of the joke there. Yeah. The Quakers, I think they were, if I'm remembering rightly from my history classes in like high school, I think they were like anti-slavery and helped with the Underground Railroad.
Didn't they burn some witches though?
Was that the Quakers?
Was it?
I don't know. I don't remember. Someone tell us. Someone will know and tell us in the comments.
Sure, we'll get a lengthy multi-paragraph comment post for that one. Amazon. Now, you remember when Amazon put local businesses out of business?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the retail-apocalypse?
Yes.
So, retail businesses are rapidly going out of business. And the big stores are suffering greatly. The little stores are basically all dead, which has left our malls here in America as empty, rotting husks. We have a mall in this city, and you know what it's used for? The old people go there to walk in the mornings.
I thought about I don't know if I can walk through there, but I've thought about that in the winter when it's cold.
Who's going to say anything to you? I'm sure they don't.
There's like no one there. There's no security guard. Yeah.
There's like a Mexican restaurant, a furniture store, and
they took. There used to be a Bath and Body Works in there, but it finally moved. So There's not even a Bath and Body Works in there.
If you wanted to buy that mall, somebody would be very willing to sell it to you, which Amazon is now capitalizing on.
Amazon quietly did something extraordinary to speed up deliveries. It's both brilliant and very sad. This is a clickbait headline.
Yeah.
We're sorry.
Inc.com. But here's the answer. You don't have to click. They're buying those malls and turning them into fulfillment centers. So if you think about it, malls were all built to be centrally located for a lot of rural areas. And they're built on major thoroughfares. Easy to get to. Lots of parking. So fill them up with boxes, right? Turn them into delivery centers.
So then you can get your box quicker.
That's going to be the one-day delivery. That's how they're going to do that. Yeah.
I don't think I ever really need one-day delivery, but it's a nice idea.
Well, you're not an Amazon Prime member, so you don't matter.
Fiance is.
And once again, Bezos playing 5D chess. Nobody even knows what he's doing until he does it. And sometimes the plebs in these activist investors, sometimes they bring it against him, and he just smacks them down.
Shareholder efforts to curb Amazon facial recognition tech fall short. Look at him. Scroll down and see his beautiful bald head.
That smirk. How dare you address me? So these people tried to bring up a vote. I think there were two separate people doing it. And they're saying facial recognition is evil. It's going to be abused. Amazon should not be selling it. They got 3% of the vote. Because most of the shareholders were like,
money.
Bro, it makes money, and we're all about that money. So get on out of here with your ethics. This is not the place for that.
Jeff Bezos made that face.
Did you also see a...
snap.
Oh, that's the wrong button. A woman, one of the shareholders came, and she brought her Amazon item. And she was like, I've tried 4 different times to return this, and they won't take it. Here, take it back.
Just gave it.
He took it. Amazon is also preparing more evil, terrifying surveillance technology. And they're announcing it in press releases, which is amazing because people are going to pay them to
do this. Amazon preparing a wearable that reads human emotions, says report. Is this just a mood ring?
No. It reads your emotion from your voice.
Oh.
So they have AI.
What if you never speak?
Well, then I don't guess you'd buy it. They have AI that, because you remember the Google Duplex AI? It could detect when you were getting angry at it, and it would try to pacify you. And so it's the same kind of technology where it, based on your speaking, it's going to try, and I'm sure it also reads like your blood pressure and stuff.
Yeah.
But based on that, it's going to try to sell you stuff. I don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah, I don't know what the monetization strategy is there.
It's going to try to know what you're feeling in order to probably better advertise to you, like everything else in the universe that we have.
It's like, they're feeling happy today. Quick, let's get them on Amazon so they can buy some stuff. They're feeling reckless today.
Yeah, exactly. So that's... Now, the sad thing about that is it's going to be always listing, like most of their devices, and it's not going to matter if you or I don't buy one if the person we're in line next to at Kroger has one.
Yeah.
So, GitHub. If you work on open source, you work sometimes tirelessly and thanklessly, right? Because you're doing God's work. You're making great software that is an alternative to the stuff that's evil and spying on you that we've talked about. But you don't always get anything for it. And those days are over.
GitHub launches sponsors, lets you pay your favorite open source contributors. At least from what I was reading in the press release, it sounds like they just want to compete with Patreon and Ko-fi and stuff so that way people don't have to go to a third party.
I'm sure they take a cut.
Yeah.
So if you follow a project that is open source, and it's only for open source right now, you can go in and directly give them money for working on that open source project that you enjoy, which is not bad.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what they do with the modding community for different games. Like, there's a button, it's like leave a tip.
And you can probably get some visibility into, like, is this person really committing stuff? What are they committing? Is it valuable? Although it's not just for people who are doing actively coding. It could also be people doing documentation, which, man, I might, if somebody did, like, good documentation for Drupal, I might throw them a few dollars.
Yeah.
Because good Lord, it needs it.
I love it when you're like looking something up in Drupal and it's like a post from like 5 years ago and the person's like, thanks, solved it.
Yeah.
And you never again see it again. They don't tell you what they did.
Apple is the laughing stock of the laptop community because their laptops are expensive and comparably they suck in terms of performance, let's say. A lot of people say that they're reliable.
Oh, they're very pretty though.
They love the OS, blah, blah, blah. But in terms of performance, they're behind the times. But no more.
Apple updates top-end MacBook Pros with tweaked keyboard and faster processors.
So finally,
Tweaked as in drugs.
they're getting this year's processors? No, they're not getting this year's processors. But they are getting better processors across the board. I think the best one is like an i9 8-core.
Well, it's only like the very latest laptop too, though, right? Like the older models aren't getting any kind of upgrade.
It's the Touch and the MacBook Pro. So, yeah, here are the speeds. You can check them out in this article. It's nothing incredible still, but better. I don't know what the prices are. I'm sure they are insane.
Oh, for sure.
Nothing else is different. Same video, same RAM. The keyboard, they've changed a little bit. They say that it's better.
Because people had problems with the old one.
Right, but they didn't say it's the same design. It's just like they're using a different material. So I don't know if that's really going to help anything. But if you're a Mac fanboy, probably super excited about this, right?
If you're a Mac fanboy, you're probably not watching our episode of the news, but maybe.
Some of them do. You'd be surprised. And they'll defend it. Now, if you're on... So one side of that extreme is Mac users, right? Mm-hmm. They have a lot of money. They don't value the speed per dollar. They're all about that brand name. They're hipsters. They're unbearable. Mm-hmm. They don't want to save money. They want to be part of the in crowd. Now, the other end of that spectrum, Walmart shoppers.
Walmart debuts 3 sub-100 tablet models to challenge the iPad. Uses Android, correct? Yeah, Android power tablets.
So iPad starts at what, $399? These
For
guys,
the basic, yeah.
These guys start at 64. Quite a difference.
Quite a difference.
And there's a picture, but we've read too many Bloomberg articles. You know, it sucks because everybody in the office counts toward this on our IP.
Oh yeah.
So that's why we get locked out.
That's exciting. I could read this morning.
Yeah, I saw the pictures. So they look at what you'd expect them to look like.
They're Walmart.
Big, like crappy plastic and giant bezels, and probably if you like bend them a little bit, they'll just crumble.
Yeah.
But the top end one, the $100 one or the $99 one, it's sub $100. Mm. You can actually separate the keyboard, and the other ones you can't. So that's exciting if you're a Walmart shopper. You can get that one day in-store pickup.
You think they'll start selling a pencil for it too? To try and compete?
No, I don't think they will.
You don't think so? Mm.
No. I mean, you could probably get like a third-party pencil.
And see if it would work, yeah.
A Bluetooth, like a generic Bluetooth pencil.
Yeah.
But I don't think those screens are...
Would probably not be very touch responsive to a pen, right?
Well, they're just, the materials will not be good enough that you'll get the accuracy that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So your use case, maybe stick with the iPad.
No, I think we should... Level 1's going to buy one of these tablets.
Now, alternately, what you could do is go for the $64 one, and every 2 weeks, throw it away and get a new one.
I mean, I could do that. That would be literally throwing away money. But
you bought an iPad.
Well, listen. Pencil.
Speaking of literally throwing away money. Ouya.
Ouya. Ooh, booyah, ouya, will be shut down for good on June 25th. I had not heard of this. Did we run a story about this ever?
Yes, we did.
I don't remember that.
So this is a Kickstarter. Basically,
didn't it get like $8 million?
Here's this little thing.
Yeah.
And basically, that's just the same hardware that's in a phone, essentially. And you play Android Play Store stuff with that controller on your TV.
Seems like a limited audience for that,
and
but
turns out yes, slow adoption into
no adoption.
Antiquity. Yes.
Yeah.
So June 25th, they're turning the server off. They say maybe if you go to the people who sold these games, maybe they'll give you a copy for another device or operating system that you have. But that's not really U's problem.
So good luck, everybody.
Yeah.
We got our money. See ya.
You got to give that. When you do Kickstarters, you have to do Kickstarters expecting to get nothing, I think.
Yeah.
You got to just love it.
Which is part of the reason I don't think I'll ever do a Kickstarter, or support a Kickstarter, I guess. But
I don't know. Maybe there's certain things I would, but it would have to be really good. And they'd have to already have a pretty good product going.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is the place you go to find out if a movie is good or not. But here's the thing. Everybody gets a voice, right? It's like the Wikipedia thing.
Yeah.
And the problem is...
sometimes certain movies get brigaded.
And Rotten Tomatoes doesn't like that because Rotten Tomatoes accepts advertising about movies. And big movie companies like Disney don't like it when bad things are said about their movies like this. So, Rotten Tomatoes has the answer.
Rotten Tomatoes seeks proof you saw the movie you're rating. And the way they do it is a little bit shady. They do it through Fandango, which owns Rotten Tomatoes. So it seems like they're kind of getting a cut.
And you're thinking to
Either
yourself,
way.
what if I just go and buy a ticket?
Yes.
Right? How do I tell them that, no, you don't.
You don't. That's not a thing. You have to buy it through Fandango.
You don't exist. Now, you can still write your review.
But it won't be shown as high of a tier.
And it won't be counted toward the final score. So
I wonder, will that kill Rotten Tomatoes, you think?
I don't know. They're pretty ingrained. Like, who's the number 2 movie?
IMDb.
Do they do reviews? I thought they just did
do.
information.
No, they have reviews on there too.
Oh, okay.
So maybe IMDb?
DB.
DB. Is it DB? Database. Yeah, that's right. Movie database. That makes sense.
So, of course, they had the picture of
Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Because, yeah, that was the last one to be brigaded.
It was one of the big ones.
I think, I don't know if it was on Rotten Tomatoes. It might have been on the other. I think Game of Thrones, the final season, was also, like, lowballed.
But it was legitimately bad.
It was legitimately bad, but they're trying to say it was brigaded.
Yeah, well.
It may have been, but it was bad.
I mean, does that count when the thing they're mad about is it was bad?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's just another way that they can try and manipulate you to go see the movie.
There was no, like, social justice in that. Although there was a little bit with the Missandei and Grey Worm experiencing racism in the north.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, why did they not cut this scene?
It was really awkward because it really did just feel like, this feels a little too, like, American.
Well, it was the white people are evil.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're going to defend them and then we're going to leave because they're so hateful and terrible.
It was bizarre. It was a bizarre series of shots.
But again,
there are a lot of weird choices like that.
I don't think that's what the reviews are angry about. I think they're angry
No,
about
they are legitimately angry about, like, just the actual show.
Well, speaking of toxicity, it's not just a problem in movie reviews.
Microsoft announced Xbox content moderation to cut back on toxic comments. Didn't we do a story about this already, or am I thinking of someone else?
They've been fighting this for a while, but they have more tools now. So, like, more ways
They're going to cut out toxicity.
Yeah, more ways to report and more ways to deal with it. And they've got that online gaming service that's coming up. So, like, everything's online. And there's going to be more of a marketplace, I guess. I'm sure that people will drop the N-bomb a couple times. That's not okay to do as far as Microsoft is concerned. So, watch yourself.
For an Xbox player.
Don't talk that smack. Of course, we talked about Minecraft, right? Notch.
Oh, yeah. I was like, do people talk smack in Minecraft? That's like the most pleasant game I've ever played.
No, I'm sure there's a couple people who talk some smack about it. So, we talked about the superhero movies. I'm certainly not tired of them. Are you?
I never cared for them personally, but I will let other people enjoy things.
But there's a lot of them, and they just keep coming.
They don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming.
Yeah. So I actually tried to watch the last Avengers movie last night.
Did you like it?
I didn't realize how long it was, and I got a half an hour in, and I just gave up because no, I didn't like it.
Was it just overwhelming with how many characters, and they were trying to cram too much in, or?
No, the first 45.
I could see that being a problem.
The first 45 minutes was just boring, like nothing happened, and then, spoiler alert, they introduced time travel, and once you introduce time
That
travel,
makes it
it's
so
just
difficult.
Like, nothing matters anymore. Right?
Yeah.
No, like there is no commitment to anything, because now we can just go back and fix it. And then, double spoiler alert, they introduced the part of the story where it's like, oh no, we're time traveling now, and we're going to do this that's going to cause a problem, but they're going to time travel again and fix that, so it'll all be okay. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm out.
The suspension of in a world where people have crazy superpowers and like that was the moment where you couldn't suspend the disbelief anymore.
So, based on that, and based on my fatigue with the whole thing, I don't see this as maybe the best.
Sony reportedly launches Marvel-inspired studio to turn games into movies and shows. All I'm thinking of is like the scary Sonic. Like, it's like flashing in my head like a nightmare. His little face.
Well, Sonic, that was made by.
Well, yeah.
What company made that?
It's a movie studio. I think was it Fox?
A big
I thought it was
company
Fox.
made that.
I could be wrong.
And
I'm
so
probably
this would be a little movie studio, just specifically to crank out garbage video game movies.
That's exactly. Yeah, I was like, am I supposed to be excited by that? Also, once you run in, I guess depending on the game studio, but like, don't a lot of them already have like parent companies who they're probably beholden to? So that you'd have to like try and get the rights for them, and
Well, you'd have to do that no matter what.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean,
that's a big startup cost.
a lot of them are willing, because you got to think, if the movie is anywhere above marginal, you're going to circle back around. People are going to play the game, right?
Yeah,
Or you could launch a new game.
and then have the movie or show to go with it. The only
So-
thing I can think of, what would be cool, The Forest, if it was made into like a very short miniseries.
The Forest
That'd be cool.
is going to be made into a movie.
Well, you say that, but you know, the studio, you don't know what they're going to do.
There's nothing about the forest, like that's not really intellectual property, because the protagonists have no identity,
That's true.
except for was it Timmy?
Timmy, yeah, you have to rescue Timmy, and then there's the
And,
horrible monsters and
Yeah,
atrocities.
the monsters, like the monster design was cool, but that was also somewhat generic in the modern day, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could be interesting.
And
though.
the one monster that was all just like made of legs, but then a vagina that pooped out the
little
demon
evil babies, yeah,
I don't think a modern movie maker
could do that.
would go that far.
Listen, they should take some risks
You
creatively.
think that would push them over an R rating?
Oh, for sure. That was terrifying because
It
it was
was
nighttime the
terrifying.
first time it came in.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not
And
terrifying.
it was really hard to kill.
That's some genius monster design. I'm just saying, I don't know if the rest of the world is ready for it.
Yeah,
So
I certainly wasn't the first time I played that game.
now moving on to security news. Remember, Krista, when we talked about license plate reading,
Yeah,
the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, they do it. The cops have them on their cars. They hire taxis to go by and just read your license plate data, report the location data, track you, stuff like that. What's the worst that could happen?
hackers breach company that makes license plate readers for U.S. government. Advice.
Boris Bullet Dodger. You're familiar with his work, right?
What a cool guy.
He's hacked them and he's dumped the data. So, yeah, this is the company that makes the stuff, and presumably they had a bunch of that license plate data, and now it's out there in the open.
Yikes.
Sad.
Aw, snap. We lost the tab. Refresh
We
it.
have to load every tab manually, so it takes a little bit longer. What do you think about this logo?
Is this Alliance? I don't.
It's Snapline. That's the Snapline, Krista, obviously.
I don't know if I actually saw this article in the list today.
So it's the Snapchat Ghost, right? But
Yes, I
but
see
it's-
that. And the
right.
color, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a line.
I see that.
So,
Oh, that was the one that's causing the crash, I assume, then?
I don't know.
Vice.
Could be a combination of them.
Snapchat employees abused data access to spy on users. Multiple sources and emails also describe Snapline and internal tool used by various friends to
Why are you
access
even
Snapchat
reading it
user
when
data.
they can't even understand what you say?
That's fine.
So, Snapchat, you post something and then it disappears, right?
Yeah, it
And you
disappears,
can-
quote unquote.
I guess they have like private messaging too or something like that.
Yeah, you
right?
can send your snaps to specific people.
Right,
Or to
so
like your whole group of friends.
That's the draw of it. There's some privacy. You're not putting it out there to the world. And if you are, it's only there for a limited amount of time. Nobody knows who you are exactly. You have this username. Well, it turns out a lot of employees had access to everything. and it didn't get deleted when they thought it got deleted. So some of them were abusing it. Some of them were looking at your thought posts and
Your
finding
private
out
snaps.
you might send some nudes privately. Private snap some nudes. They were looking at them. They were looking up your identity. They found your name, your phone number, your email address.
And this is why when my cousins said that they were thinking about getting a Snapchat, I told them nothing is actually deleted. They're like, but it says it is. And I was like, yeah, don't believe that.
Did they believe you?
I don't think I even have Snapchat. They do have Instagram. Instagram's kind of like the big one for teenage girls.
Do you feel like any of them are on the road to thoughtdom?
No, not really. One of them likes to do like makeup tutorials and stuff, but I think that's
Ooh,
pretty normal for her
That's a
age.
slippery slope.
It is.
Next thing you know,
It's cute though, cause so like when I was a kid, everyone wore like white glittery eyeshadow. That was the cool look. And now because of Instagram, all the little girls like to do like they put like shimmer on their cheeks, but they also do it right on the tip of their nose. And if you don't blend it, you can tell like there's just a little bit of glitter right on the end of the nose. And every time I see her, I'm always like, let's get that out there. I like the teaser.
what a stereotypical white ant you are.
I know. I know.
You, Krista, unlike me, as a superior homeowner, you do not have
No,
a title.
I'm not a landowner.
You don't have to worry about title. Title fraud is a thing.
Yeah.
Like people will get your title and like just assign it to themselves and then come and say that's my house. And you have to prove that it's not. Well, that could become much more of a problem.
I saw this. First American Financial Corp leaked hundreds of millions of title insurance records. Doesn't this go back like 15 years?
Well,
Or something crazy.
So
yeah.
I love how you say, "Oh, I saw this," as if we didn't read all these stories, Krista. Because how would we do news about them if we didn't see them?
I think I saw a different article is why.
So this is, every row in the database has an ID, right?
Yeah.
So you would call a view web page and you pass it the ID. So all you had to do was guess the ID,
And
and
then
there was no security at all.
oh,
And these had bank transactions in them with account numbers. Yeah. And yeah, they'd been open for a long time, and Cribs found it and called them up. And
he looks like a serious guy in their banner.
oh yeah,
He's always like,
he's covering serious topics.
yeah.
And so when he told them about it, they fixed it. But how long? Who else found it before him? That's the
Yeah.
scary part. This is a terrifying but fascinating thing that is being done with our mobile phones.
Online identification is getting more and more intrusive.
The subheadline would be important for this one.
Phones can now tell who is carrying them from their users' gates.
So the idea here is
Wouldn't want to put that in H1.
it's not just, oh, come on. That's perfectly readable.
I'm saying, never mind. From an SEO standpoint, it should be okay. Never mind. Go on. Continue.
So your phone's in your pocket, right?
Right.
And
I don't have pockets today, but yes. Okay.
You walk a certain way.
All right.
Oh, okay. You don't have pockets today? It can tell the difference between pocket and purse
Wow.
because the purse swings, right?
Oh yeah.
So it learns how you walk, and it can tell. So if your phone got stolen and somebody walks differently, it's like, that's weird. That's a new kind of walk. It can tell the difference between being laid down on a hard surface or, for example, a
Like
couch or a bed.
Yeah.
And it can tell the speed at which you type. It learns that. It can tell. There was one more thing. Anyway,
I bet my phone's like blown away because sometimes I carry a backpack and sometimes I carry a purse and
Oh,
sometimes it
wow.
is in my pocket.
so they put all these things together, and they can begin to notice when things change. When something is different about you, maybe there's a reason to be concerned, right? Or maybe they can prove, like, if you say, no, I didn't post that Twitter, that was white supremacist.
I can tell by the way you walk. You're a
that
ladies'
you're
man.
intolerant of minorities.
No time to talk.
So yeah, that's a way that they're tracking you that you can't even
Can't
imagine.
control, yeah.
And on that same topic,
Android and iOS devices impacted by a new sensor calibration attack. Sensor ID technique can track users across apps and websites using sensor calibration data.
so you build a phone, right?
As you do.
It has all those various sensors. It has the tilt sensor and the drop sensor and the touch sensors and all that. You know, you got to calibrate where you're touching it on the. So at the factory, it turns out Android doesn't always do this. It depends on who builds it, but Apple always does it. So those tiny little calibration numbers are unique per phone. Here's the crazy thing. Anybody, even a website, can call your phone when you're interacting with it and say, give me those numbers. So you have a series of unique numbers on your phone that your phone would just hand out to anybody that asks for them. Apps, websites, whatever.
Some hacker.
And that they could track you through that from, like, if you went from website to app, they still know it's you because those numbers are the same. Now, Apple has mitigated this by randomizing those numbers every time a little bit. Android hasn't, but again, Android doesn't calibrate. They're just like, whatever. It'll be fine. But again, between that and your purse swing, they know exactly who you are at all times.
My purse swing. My swang. Facial recognition.
You started too
I'm
early.
sorry. Facial recognition is making its way to cruise ships. Another reason not to go on a cruise.
What about cruising the honeymoon? Have you thought about that?
No, we're not going to do a cruise. That's the one thing I mentioned I didn't want to do.
Why?
I don't know. I don't want to be trapped in a metal tube with like 1,000 people for a week. And they also like dump sewage into open water, and I don't know. Not really interested in it.
You don't want your poop being dumped into open water?
Yeah, I know it's controversial, but
So instead of dumping it into open water, next weekend you'll be burying it in the woods, right?
yeah, it'll biodegrade.
Much better. It'll biodegrade in the water too. So anyway, yeah, the airport, you're getting facial scanned. That's the way of the future. It's going to happen. That's how you're going
It
to
already
deal with
is
it.
happening.
And, well, not to everybody, but it will be everybody. So cruise ships are like, hey, we're doing it too. Now, you don't have to do it. But they mentioned...
They'll probably make it really hard to opt out, though, correct?
Imagine how miserable this would be. It can take 90 minutes to board a cruise ship.
Yeah, and you're trapped in a boat. I mean, I know you get off sometimes, too, at different
Well, you
places.
could jump.
For 90, or however many days.
It's not 90
I
days.
know.
This is like a
You
week.
said 90 minutes, but...
Anyway.
For however many days you're on the cruise ship with all those people.
90 minutes, where if you do facial recognition, 10. So
Yeah.
people are going to do it.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to do it. Although, the first time you might not realize that. And how many people cruise more than once per year? I guess like if you did the next year.
Most people I know, like, once they go on a cruise, they want to go, like, every year.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't that speak for cruises? I mean...
But also, one of
What
our
if-
coworkers who got stuck on one.
What if we did a Level 1 cruise with all of the YouTube audience?
Listen, you're already talking about, like, trapping yourself in a metal tube with a bunch of people, but now you want YouTube commenters in the metal tube with you? You're
I
crazy.
can't imagine a worse fate. Well, speaking of being trapped in a metal tube, all too often, especially during a holiday weekend, although it's after the holiday weekend now,
Yes.
you can
at
get
the
trapped
time
in a metal
necessary.
tube by driving your car and it
Right.
being horribly destroyed around you. And one way that Chevy is making that safer is with this new technology in their cars.
Teens who don't buckle up, Chevy has a surprise for you. That kind of sounds ominous. The car won't move. It won't go.
That's one of the worst clickbait headlines ever because
Yeah.
the surprise is terrible. But it will only not move for 20 seconds.
It's like, okay, I'm going to check my Twitter while.
I suppose the thought process behind that is like if the seatbelt is damaged, but you need to get somewhere, like there's an emergency or something.
Yeah.
So they mentioned back in the 70s, they tried to do that seatbelt law that was something like this, and people just wouldn't buy the cars. They were just like, no, I will not be told to wear my seatbelt. I
think that's changed a lot, though. Like, the culture around seatbelts is different than it was even in the 90s.
People still don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, it makes sense, I'll do it, but just don't tell me what to do. I knew old dudes who would buy a truck,
And cut the seatbelt
and
out.
they would go in there, razor blade, but then they would take the little clasp and just plug it in so it wouldn't beep at them.
I had a cousin, he doesn't do this anymore, but when we were in high school and stuff, he wouldn't wear a seatbelt because he was like, what if I get in a wreck and then it traps me in the car? And I was like, the chances of that
Yeah.
Are like slim to nothing
but
compared to actually
sell-
saving your life.
Have you ever seen those little devices? I'm sure you have.
To like slice your seatbelt.
It's like a captured razor, so you can squeeze it and it won't hurt you. But then there's a little slit in it,
And you can.
and it's just and then it's got one of those push button glass shatterers in it.
Oh,
Those are amazing
I've never actually seen that.
because
But
it's like a focused tap. So you just press it against the window and push like a push button pin, and it shatters the window.
I could see someone being like, I wonder if this works, and then just like.
It works.
I've
Don't
never
try
seen
that
it.
at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, now when I was young, not all seatbelts had the shoulder belt.
Oh yeah.
And the big rumor back then was like, don't wear just the lap belt.
Because it'll like
Because it'll
rip you
cut you in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that as well.
Comcast. We talked earlier about Comcast.
Right.
They lobby so hard.
The best company.
So hard they lobby that they can't even tell you how much because it's just too much work
No one
to tell
knows.
you.
Well, they did most of it.
If they did the work to tell you how much they lobby, that would cut into their lobbying time, and they can't have that because it's 24/7 lobbying, and people don't like them. So it makes you wonder who would buy this product.
Comcast is reportedly developing a device that would track your bathroom habits. This probably isn't a company anyone wants to be sharing their vitals with.
Now that's not the main purpose of it, but that is a good headline, right?
That is a good headline.
So what this is, it's a camera-based product that you put in your home from Comcast. So it's going to monitor you, and it's like, how does it know when you go to the bathroom? It just watches you. So if you go to the bathroom too much, it's like, oh, are you feeling bad? Or if you spend too much time in bed, it's like, shouldn't you be getting up? And they're marketing it toward old people, right? So you put this in the home, at grandma's house, and if grandma starts to get weird somehow, you're going to know because she's going to be behaving differently.
See, I was a little more excited by the headline here, and I was thinking, like, is it a camera that goes in the toilet bowl and, like, measures consistency, or...
If it's dark in the toilet bowl, Krista, how would a camera work?
I don't know. Listen,
I have night vision.
I don't know. Would it, frequency, consistency?
Well, frequency it could do, although it doesn't know what you're doing in there.
Could deposit a little thing to, like, get
Maybe-
a pH balance.
Maybe like as you're walking by on your way to the bathroom, you flash it like a 2. It's like, just let it know.
No, you want it to be completely autonomous. You don't want to have to, like, tell it to do anything. Because people keep poop journals. I had a friend who did that.
I bet there's an app for that.
I bet there is. I actually think there is. But this is the next step where you don't have to log it yourself. It will log the logs for you. But it's not what that is, unfortunately.
Google.
Right.
You would think that Google, they have some really advanced technology, right? So you expect people who work at Google to operate at a certain minimum level of technical know-how.
Right.
Then something like this happens.
Google says some G Suite user passwords were stored in plain text since 2005. That's like 15 years ago.
That's bad. Plain text password storage, not good. Now these were not regular Gmail accounts, but there's like corporate policies or something, but still.
No good.
Now they claim
No
that
bueno.
you would have to get into Google. You'd have to compromise Google in order to get to these, not the corporations themselves. Still embarrassing. But they fixed it, so don't worry.
Just everything's fine. Keep using Google products.
Keep trusting them. Team Red, Krista. It's a little bit annoying. Just a touch. And I hesitate to give them fodder with which to fuel their neuroses.
Bow down to Lisa Sue.
But we do have to report it because it's in the news.
Intel performance hit 5 times harder than AMD after Spectre meltdown patches. I like read that, but it was like I read it as if someone who doesn't speak English.
They gave it flavor. Right?
Yeah.
Look how beautiful and colorful it is
It is a
these
pretty
dyes
picture.
are. You should decorate your home with CPU dyes. So yeah, if you want to mitigate all of Spectre and Meltdown, including turning off the prediction, the hyper-threading, or whatever AMD calls theirs, you're looking at around a 15% hit on Intel versus a 3% hit on AMD for the full suite. Now, a lot of people argue that the common user doesn't need to worry about these things that much. But we don't know that for sure. And if we do have to worry about it, we probably won't find out until it's too late. And that's a huge risk. Like, if they can compromise this, that's a massive compromise. So.
Can you give us Mr. Intel's thoughts on that in his voice?
He's got no comment.
Oh, okay.
He's
in the Bermuda again.
He encourages you to look at the new line of laptops and, let's talk about the new MacBooks, right? And the exciting new Intel processors. That's what we should be talking about. Spectre Meltdown is old news.
Don't worry about that.
Don't worry. But yeah, more good news for AMD. AMD, I think they have less China exposure too.
Yeah, I think that's true.
So the future is really looking bright for AMD. Got to give it up to them, right? Instagram. Now we talked about your young relatives who are on their way to being Instagram thoughts.
Yes, I guess.
And,
hopefully not.
Hopefully they will make millions of dollars, right? And spend it all on the extravagant lifestyle that is required to maintain
the illusion
Instagram's
of the
superiority.
extravagant lifestyle.
What we don't want to happen to them is this.
Millions of Instagram influencers had their contact data scraped and exposed. Stacy got hit by this pretty hard.
Yeah.
She's upset. You can see her kind of tearing up back
She's
there.
getting a lot of random phone calls. So this was now some of this information that they talked about was already public because a lot of these people actually expose a lot of their info. Right?
Yeah.
You got to give people that access if you want that thought status.
You got to make it seem like you're a real person, you're a real friend.
You can't be a secretive thought.
Yeah.
And there was this company called Chartbox, not Chartbox.
Chartbox.
Shirtbooks. They should have left out the O. And they had an exposed database. Same old story. We've heard it a million times.
Tale as old as time.
And so, but Instagram, people are like, hey, Instagram, why do they have this information? Why do they have my contact details?
And
They're not
Instagram's
Instagram.
like, hey,
They're Shirtbox. And Instagram's like,
look
hey,
at these cute new filters.
some mistakes were made, but let's not focus on that. Let's just look at these bikini pics that you're putting up because that's what everybody cares about, right? Wow.
New filters. Don't worry. Shh.
One of the biggest stories, security-wise, from the week. And Krista, I know that you are
Security is my favorite section.
on the precipice of security research at all times.
Yes.
So you, of course, already know about the terrible mistake that Salesforce made.
Faulty database script brings Salesforce to its knees. I can't read the subheadline.
Faulty production script gave users access to all their company Salesforce data. So here was the problem. Salesforce, of course, has user roles, as you might imagine. You've got administrators, and you've got managers, and you've got the salespeople themselves, and blah, blah, blah. Well, they rolled out an update, and everybody could do everything.
Perfect.
See everything, change it, whatever they wanted to do, full access for all users.
Exactly what I want. My clients to be able to do whatever they want.
So what do you do? If you're hit with that situation, what do you do?
Go out and get a tequila? I don't...
Well, no, that's not what they did. We actually had clients that did that one time.
I know. I remember.
They pulled the plug. They shut it all down. Everything. And even this only affected one suite of their products. They turned everything off.
Well, they had to make sure it was,
And slowly rolled it back and started putting it all back together.
God, that was probably a miserable Memorial Day.
Imagine that the guy that rolled that out, though. Because one person clicked that button.
He's gone. Or she.
Just literally dead.
They've been dragged out to a field somewhere to be beaten alive.
We talked about earlier the Amazon bracelet that reads your emotions, right?
Yeah, the mood ring from Amazon.
Always has to be listening to tell what you're saying, right? Now, this story is interesting because we've talked in the past about those court cases. Why is there a picture of a cat over here?
You got distracted real quick.
Oh, it's a fake bobcat. We've talked about these court cases that have to do with Alexa, and like the murder case, they subpoenaed, and they were like, yeah, we want that recording. And I was like, well, we weren't interacting with Alexa. No, it was recording. We want it. It was. So it's been proven in court that Alexa listens more than when you say, hey, Alexa, which makes this headline a little suspicious.
Amazon patent reveals its vision for an Alexa device that records every word you speak. It's a vision that already exists.
Already doing it, most likely. But yeah, this is basically the always listening wristwatch. Put it
In your home.
In your home, Alexa. And you don't have to. They're saying that Alexa, when you turn her on, you might have already said some important things, right? That Alexa needs to know. So why bother? Why not just let her listen all the time? She loves you.
She's going to make sure you go to the bathroom on time. And do things you're supposed to.
Her and the Comcast box are going to work together.
No, I think they would be mortal enemies.
Oh, it finally loaded. And our final story, I'm not even going to bleed into it.
Yeah, so hackers are scanning MySQL servers to deploy Ganned Crab ransomware. Ganned Crab.
Canned crab. Not as good as Crundle.
I was going to say, it sounds like a crundle. The crundle's deep down in the caves.
You know what? We have to come up with the titles before tomorrow because
Oh, we'll be out, yeah. Sorry.
I want to try to incorporate Crundle into one of the titles.
It should be this week.
And so what this is MySQL servers that don't have passwords, right? That's bad.
Yeah.
You got a database that doesn't have a password. But that's not the end of it. Because on Microsoft, on a Windows server, you can actually download files through that unsecured MySQL database. So your database can put malicious files on your computer, which can then allow intrusion through your Windows system. Yeah.
That sounds worse than crundles.
Now, the fix for this, use a password. Or better yet, use keys. Or some other sort of authentication that's not a password, that can't be hacked as easily as a password. Or don't run MySQL on Windows. Try that maybe.
Listen, I tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas.
Let's check the time. 51 minutes.
We're doing
How
good.
are we saying so many words about
And we're not
so
even
little?
drinking this week. We're drinking delicious Nestle water.
You shouldn't have brought that up because people are going to complain about that. Their expectations have been set unrealistically.
Well, listen, we can't do that all the time. Or I can't. I don't know. You tank it pretty hard.
I could drink every week. My life would spiral downward, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's the way that works when you drink too much.
But I don't love drinking. Like, you think the gateway to alcoholism is more difficult when you actually don't like it?
I would think so, yeah.
What if you're just drinking out of duty?
I don't know. I don't care for the taste of alcohol for the most part. So, like, I have that same thing where, like...
Yeah. I don't like the taste. I kind of enjoy the drunk for a little while.
See,
and then I hate the aftermath. So it's such a bad drug.
Yeah.
Anyway, we shouldn't talk about it because, again, people are just like,
They're going to be upset.
But that's all we got for today. And Friday, we're going to do social media, robots, and nonsense. And there's a lot of nonsense.
There was a lot of nonsense this week.
So another record-long episode for you people who are driving and listening to this. And for those people who are like, this should be 30 minutes. More than 30 minutes, and I can't even have time to listen to it all. Well, listen to 30 minutes of it. I don't understand that. It's like,
they want to listen to all of it, Ryan.
There's too much cake. Well, give some of it away.
So just send someone half of an episode. Listen to this, man.
Could you digest this, sum it up, and give it back to me? Could you baby bird this into my...
That's kind of what we do here at Level 1 News.
Oh,
We regurgitate the news into your
disgusting.
tiny baby mouths.
I found another bird corpse while I was cutting my grass yesterday.
The dead bird room curse has followed you home.
Oh, I didn't think about that. My house is the dead bird house.
It is.
It's transferred because I'm in the
Yeah,
dead bird room.
you are.
Oh man.
We had an office here. It's the dead bird office.
That's tragic.
Anyway, bye. Hello. Today is Friday. It's May 31st.
Krista, my microphone
Phone
was not
was
in
not
place,
there.
and
It's
the keyboard's
fine.
on the table.
It's fine.
How did you let that happen?
It's casual Friday here at the Level 1 office. I've been wearing a blanket all week, but it's
You
fine.
have. You also mentioned that you're going to take that blanket with you camping,
I am.
which begs the question: when last was that blanket laundered?
I just keep it here at the office, so I mean,
So never.
never. It's fine. don't sleep with it every night. I don't even use it every day. It's
Yeah,
also down. You can't really launder it
I don't
easily.
sleep in my clothing either, but from time to time, I wash it.
Every now and then.
Let's talk about Facebook, because it is the social media section. And what is the social media section? It's just Facebook, right?
That is all it is anymore. I somehow managed to miss a lot of the Facebook stories this week.
Did you tune them out? Did your brain?
I must have just skipped
them?
right over the links, like just, I see Facebook, whatever.
Well, we know that a lot of people are saying that Mark Zuckerberg should not be running Facebook. And in fact, Facebook should be separated into its various parts. It's got so many services, right?
It does. It does actually have a lot.
Do they have Snapchat?
Yeah, I think they have Snapchat. That sounds
WhatsApp.
right.
They have WhatsApp. And a couple of like more smaller ones. And of course, the evil mothership, Facebook itself. And Zuckerberg has responded.
Zuckerberg dismisses calls to break up Facebook. Beep, bop, beep, 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 boop.
He says,
Bleep, blah, bleep, bleep,
I don't think so, bro. And he says, hey, Facebook has a lot of competition. He was kind of saying without saying, like, have you seen how badly Facebook itself is doing? Do you know how many people we're losing? And in fact, they're losing so many people.
This was crazy. I did see this one. Facebook removed 2.2 billion fake accounts this year. It only has 2.38 billion active users.
How do you explain that? Well, it turns out
The bots.
they delete them usually within 5 minutes.
Which is impressive in its own way.
Also impressive that the bots are so persistent.
But they keep trying to make Facebook accounts.
Failure after failure. So, yeah. But it also goes to show you that if the bots are the only ones signing up and you're deleting basically all your new users.
Well, it's, I guess my younger cousins recently got Facebook, which surprised me. I figured they would just want Instagram or Twitter.
Are these the future thoughts that we referenced?
Yeah, but they do that to like keep in touch with family. I don't see them. They don't post thottery.
That is,
thankfully.
I think that is sort of the way things are going. It's like you get on Facebook to communicate with your parents and grandparents because old people are on Facebook.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's become kind of
like I don't post on there, but I use it to check out like the rest of my family stuff.
Like an awkward family reunion type thing.
Yeah.
So.
Or to like check out events or the marketplace. The marketplace is really fun to check out. It's like Craigslist but worse.
My neighbors had some sort of, I don't know if they were having like a Memorial Day family
yard
reunion
sale maybe.
There. No, it was like there were probably between 25 and 45 cars in their yard.
Probably a reunion or a barbecue.
We had high school graduations yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
So it could have been that. Anyway, I didn't plan this, but I had to mow my lawn yesterday. Now, our houses are not that close together, but my lawn stretches all the way down right next to the tents.
Oh.
I was just zero turning my way.
You were scaring all your snakes out of the long grass. The snakes were all just fleeing into their barbecue.
I was scaring myself. I was literally, when I was doing my, the edges, I was throwing grass onto their parked cars because they were parked all up and down the road.
Oh.
Listen.
Did you feel like an asshole?
I don't care. You know what? Go to the park. Rent out a room if you're going to do that kind of thing.
You can rent the stuff at the park's like $100. You can't serve alcohol though.
Right, and nobody's going to be cutting grass. Anyway, back to social media. Let's talk about opting out of Facebook facial recognition. Now, Krista, we've talked about in the past. Facebook, for a while there, was using your Facebook pictures and your grandparents' Facebook pictures to train facial recognition AI. And they said, we're going to let you opt out, don't worry. But
Couple of catch. Report finds some users can't opt out of Facebook's face recognition. That's true.
What? So Consumer Reports
again
found out about this.
Unbiased party.
And they said, let's test it. Was it Consumer Reports? I think it was. It was.
Yeah.
And they said, we're going to go and we're just going to create a bunch of Facebook accounts, which
flagged as bots.
But it worked. And they immediately went into the settings, and about 25% of them, for whatever reason, didn't have the option. Some of them did.
Why?
But not all of them.
Maybe did they upload photos on all of them? Maybe you have to upload a photo to trigger
I'm sure they tried. Yeah, I'm sure they did them all the same. It's probably true that Facebook figured out it's like, we could keep training the AI if we had 25% of our users doing that. We don't need them all.
Yeah.
And so they set that number, and they figure that many people just won't check, right? Maybe we'll get lucky. CrossFit. What's your thoughts on CrossFit?
I don't really have any thoughts. I just know the meme is like, people who do CrossFit will let you know that they do CrossFit, but I don't actually know anybody who does it.
So the knock on CrossFit is that they do exercises that are designed to be done slowly and with careful form, but they just like bang them out just like,
as quickly as possible.
And they compete with each other to do more, and like high reps and reckless. That's the bad thing that people say about CrossFit. I mean, if you see people who do it though, they're in amazing shape. It seems.
So there's a CrossFit gym near my house,
and they do seem to have feats of strength, But that's not the only part about their CrossFit lifestyle. They also talk about diet, which has gotten them in trouble with Facebook.
CrossFit warns those who engage in activities contrary to prevailing opinion to avoid Facebook. I think they were saying like it was high carb. Was it high carb diet or high protein?
Low carb, high fat.
High fat.
So they're talking about, I guess, the ketogenic diet.
Yeah.
Was the one. And ketogenic diet, it is weird. You ever look at those meal plans?
They're crazy.
It's like...
I have a friend who's doing it. He does it for his diabetes or something, but I feel like somehow that wouldn't work, but he insists that it does.
No, it would, because it's all about the glycemic index. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's like long-term good for you, but the crazy part about it is how much fat you need to consume. So it's like, for dinner today, have a steak and a stick of butter.
Yeah, like he'll show us like the stuff he makes for dinner, and it's like...
Yeah, because obviously cooking with all that fat, you can make it really delicious. You just can't have any bread or sugar or anything like that. So, Facebook, for whatever reason, decided that was evil propaganda. You can't have it.
Seems a little weird.
Seems a little weird. Now they did.
But I wonder if this is like, the next step from anti-vaxxing now. It's like now you can't be on the keto diet. Is that
right? It's exactly like that because, quote unquote, the mainstream science says do it like this. Now this is the mainstream science that we know was infiltrated by the sugar industry.
Yeah.
To vilify fat and keep us eating corn syrup and sugar, which hasn't gone well. But
my two favorite food groups.
They are delicious, right?
Yeah.
That's the very top of that pyramid. That's what you want.
Yeah.
But the people or the CrossFit people have now said they're done. They're done with Facebook and all of Facebook's. They're not going to tolerate
policies.
That kind of stuff. And they do say, just like the anti-vaxxers, just because, the quote-unquote modern science doesn't agree with us doesn't mean that we're wrong and we can't have a voice. Who's to say? Should it be in Facebook's hands?
Facebook's robotic claws.
Should Facebook... Now, here's an interesting juxtaposition, right? Facebook banned them because presumably they're saying they're spreading false information, right?
Right.
But it's somewhat subjective. But what about this?
Facebook refuses to delete fake Pelosi videos spread by Trump supporters.
Now, it's not a fake video per se, but someone definitely went in there and slowed her down to make it seem like she was slurring and, yeah. Clearly, I mean, we have the original video.
So it's pretty obvious to tell.
You can prove it, but Facebook has ruled that, okay, we understand it's fake, but nothing in our terms of service says that you can't post fake videos. You're allowed to do this. So they won't take this down.
Wasn't it the point of something like Snopes? I mean, I feel like that's just the thing that people don't do anymore. They don't check something like Snopes or just Google it.
You shouldn't trust Snopes.
You said that before, but even just Googling it.
You should Google who Snopes is. Do you know what their organization looks like? You should check that out. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hate Pelosi, but I don't think this is the way I think Pelosi's speeches on their own are bad enough. We don't need to
add slurs.
Yeah. And Trump retweeted this, of course, which got a lot of attention, and people took one side or the other. But Facebook has said that it's their job to police things, but now they're not going to police this for whatever reason. I think they're just a little bit afraid of
Everything at this point.
Well, yeah, but they're getting the backswing where the conservatives are coming after them now for shutting them down, whereas before the liberals were coming after them to get rid of the conservatives.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. But it's a fake video. If you want to watch it, it's kind of funny. Police use Facebook, Krista.
You're right.
And they use fake accounts, which is not, that's against the terms of service. But they won't stop doing it. But that's not what this story is about. This story is about police posting and asking people to turn themselves in.
Despite reaching Facebook likes mark, Torrington man has yet to surrender. How many, was it 5,000? If this post gets 5,000 likes...
It wasn't 5,000, but let me ask you, how many would it take for you?
To turn myself in if I committed a crime?
Yeah.
What crime did he commit? I don't recall.
This was failure to appear.
I don't know. I feel like I would probably be a sheep and just cooperate.
You would have gone to court in the first place.
Yeah.
That's who you are. So, they actually negotiated, right?
They negotiated with terrorists.
Yeah, they did. He felt 20,000 was the correct number.
Oh, okay.
They were willing to go
5.
for 10, so they met in the middle for 15. They got 25,000, but he still refuses to turn himself in.
Listen, I was lying.
But here's the thing about it. Excuse me. The police argue, and you have to agree, they're not, whether he turns himself in or not, this is a huge news story. Everybody's looking at his picture.
Yeah.
So he's more likely to get caught. So don't fall for it if they offer you
Facebook likes.
the like thing. That's a misdirection. The story, I left it in.
It's a little bit of a nothing burger.
It is a huge nothing burger, and this is kind of, I mean, it's, what's the alternative, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you from, well, let's do the headline.
All right. An algorithm may decide who gets suicide prevention. A recent study on Google search results raises questions about the faith we put in algorithms and the tech companies that use them.
So here's the thing. Google and Facebook both use an algorithm to try and figure out if you're going to commit suicide.
Based on like what keywords and stuff you're looking for.
If you were to go on there on Google and search ways to commit suicide, for example, Google will pop up a little window and it's like, hey,
here's the suicide hotline.
why don't you talk to somebody, right? And then on Facebook, if you post stuff like that, they'll do the same thing. They don't, it's not intrusive, but it's just like, maybe you would like to make this phone call, right? So this person, Jake Peter, tested this in a variety of languages. And he was like, oh, if you don't speak English, Google doesn't care about you.
Except what I was thinking was, are there suicide hotlines even available in some of the countries they tested? Like,
that's a good question. But we've done internationalization for software and websites. It is a pain in the ass, let me tell you. Oh, it is a lot of work. And I don't think this is at the...
Hell, just getting the translations from the marketing people is a lot of work.
And so it's not a factor of like... okay, let's say Google doesn't have the resources to do this for every language. Does that mean we shouldn't do it for English-speaking people?
Yeah, I don't understand what the point was here. I guess maybe just to like...
Just signaling. That's all this was.
That's to make it more widely. But again, if there's not already translations on something like the suicide hotline, like another country's going to have to develop that themselves. That's not something Google probably wants to invest in and like run, would be a suicide hotline.
And let's face it, English is the language of technology, right? I mean, your programming
For now.
languages are in English. They might be Mandarin.
Yeah, for now.
But I don't think that has anything to do with...
It wasn't malicious, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, here's a cool feature, let's roll it out.
It's like the Amazon thing that was selecting for male resumes, like male-sounding names. I wouldn't say that was necessarily malicious so much as most of the employees who already work here are male.
But it was because the AI figured that out on its own.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't malicious.
So...
Same kind of thing.
Let's face it, Google and Facebook are here to make money, right? They're for-profit companies. Do you make a lot of money from suicide people?
Well, if they're dead, they don't buy things.
Are they big spenders? So it's not. I mean, they didn't add that to try and make more money or to try to sell them ads or anything like that. Are you targeting ads towards suicide people? No, they added that just as a human thing to do.
Humans being bros.
And we're complaining about it. Krista, rye whiskey. That's one of your big things that you love.
Yeah, you know me, alcohol. Alcohol.
So you should be excited about this.
Oh no, there's AI whiskey now. If you're thinking robots made it, that's not quite true. They did develop the recipe though.
Yeah, so all sorts of different ingredients can go into whiskey.
Different types of mash and grain and
And
garbage. I actually don't know what all whiskey. I don't know if it's corn or.
well,
There's very distinct
Whiskey is-
percentages that have to be met, Ryan.
whiskey is always grain, right?
I think so.
Can it be corn? Like
I think bourbon maybe is corn.
moonshine is made of corn. Is that a whiskey? I don't know.
Someone will tell us. I've had to.
I
learn
can't
that
believe that you're in
distinction.
Kentucky and you don't know. Anyway,
Says
So-
someone with the accent.
yeah. So what's going to happen here is they've gone back. They've got all the data of all the different whiskeys recipes that they've made
Right.
and sales data about how well it was received by the public. They've fed all that into machine learning and tasked it to go through and put together the ultimate whiskey recipes. What to put in it, how long to brew it, how long to age it, what kind of barrel to put it
Yeah.
in. And so we're going to find out what computers think that we should drink. Probably not.
Also, can you imagine what if it's terrible because the computer just like.
Or it's just like it makes you go blind immediately.
Yeah.
But it's delicious.
But it's wonderful. It's the best drink you could possibly have.
But you got to wonder if they're going to age that for a couple years. We probably won't see that anytime soon. Right?
No, probably not.
I love this story.
This is terrifying
It is terrifying, but also hilarious.
and wonderful. Yeah.
People are going to do hilarious things with it.
Samsung deepfake AI could fabricate a video of you from a single profile pic, and the
So-
example they have here is the Mona Lisa.
And she looks so like alive and animated. In
It's
these.
like I wonder whose mannerisms they copied.
Well, I think they explained that. It's they've got some pictures here. So the video itself is a huge library of machine learning, like people
Yeah.
talking and stuff like that. And then it just takes the picture and
Maps
takes
points
your
of it.
face and puts it onto the generic talking thing and tries to map it together. It's incredible. It's one of those.
Yeah. It does work surprisingly well.
It's one of those discriminator AIs. So it's trying millions and millions of iterations of it.
What if you had like a really weird face? Do you think it would do it?
I think so. Yeah.
You think so?
I mean, Mona Lisa.
I saw some other examples, but I can't. They were just average looking
but
people.
Mona Lisa has a pretty unique face, right?
Kind of.
So, in the future, anybody is going to be in fake video. I mean, there's going to be video.
I know. Isn't that scary to
That's
think about?
crazy, yeah. So, they mentioned the Nancy Pelosi thing here, but they didn't use any kind of deepfake technology on Nancy Pelosi.
No, that was
They
just editing.
They just slowed down her voice, which is like the most basic
Yeah.
edit that you can do. And it shouldn't fool anybody.
And yet it
fooled Donald
does.
Trump.
USA.
Yeah.
USA.
Well, speaking of the USA and our wonderful postal service, which is going to go out of business in like 5 years. But the cool thing about it is, during that 5 years, robot trucks.
Self-driving trucks begin mail delivery test for U.S. Postal Service.
Look at it.
Aw.
Look at the glory of it.
I
So
see it.
this is one of those postal processing centers, and it's moving mail. Too Simple, TU Simple, is the name of this company that's making this truck.
Too simple.
It's too simple not to work, right?
Yeah, transporting things across large distances completely, totally easy.
Phoenix and Dallas, and of course, Krista, every time we bring up these trucks running around in the
I'm always like,
Southwest,
where is it? And it is always like the flattest, straightest roads.
and they're going to, here's the
Areas of the country.
Here's the crazy thing about this, right? So they're only going to do it for 2 weeks. We don't know what they're going to do after that. And there has to be a human being in the cab of the truck. But the route is long enough that the human being, it's more of a work shift than the human being can legally do. So at some point, the truck's going to have to stop and switch humans,
Oh.
even though it doesn't need them.
That's an interesting time of year to try and drive through Texas as well. considering it is tornado season in the U.S. right now.
Do you think self-driving trucks are prepared for dodging tornadoes?
I don't think that's probably why the human operated.
What about, you think the LiDAR and the cameras could identify a flying cow?
and save the car?
Take evasive maneuvers?
There's that guy, the YouTuber I watch, Pico's Hank. He posted a video, I think it was yesterday, well, like a week ago from now, where he got like really, like way too close to a tornado and filmed it, and I was just like, it was the most tense like 2-minute video I've ever watched.
Like getting close to a tornado.
It's very foolhardy. It was scary.
Well, but it feels like not a big deal until the moment that it's a big deal.
Yeah, like he was like totally fine just recording stuff, talking about like the measurements and stuff, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm too close. Oh, I'm too close. It doesn't look like it's moving. That means it's probably moving toward me." And then he just takes off.
Remember the video of the guy that was cutting his grass while the tornado was in the distance?
Yeah, yeah.
That was hilarious. We've talked about AI and medicine, and I don't even remember there were brain tumors, stroke possibilities,
Yeah.
Bone fractures. There were some other ones too. There was an eye-related one. Anyway, all these different things, AI, when it looks at scans and x-rays and stuff, it's really good. Well, add another one to the list.
Lung cancer. Google's lung cancer detection AI outperformed 6 human radiologists. And I think, what was it? How long had they been in school? Like 8 years, it said that they've been practicing?
Not in school. They had been
actually practicing, yeah.
Radiologists for 8 years. So they took a huge data set of people, and I can't remember how many people it was. It was 15,000 patients. 578 of them actually developed cancer. So the job of these radiologists and the robot was randomly look at these and decide whether or not they were.
They actually, yeah.
And the robot beat them in long-term and short-term cases. We're so
even less reason to go into medical debt or to go into school debt to go get a medical degree.
Yeah.
They're going to replace you for some of these jobs.
But
I mean, you still have to form a treatment plan and stuff, I guess, but
it's also that dark future where your insurance company is making an even more, emotionless black and white decision about your life.
yeah,
'Cause it's going to
the
be
algorithm says.
like the doctor doesn't even get to decide. It's just the AI says you've got no chance. We don't want to pay for this. Please go die. That kind of thing. Darkness. But the good news is, while you sit at home with no health care, you can still get Amazon deliveries. And let's assume that you have, we talked about, actually we didn't talk about this, but was it San Francisco where the bubonic plague might be making a comeback?
Oh, yeah.
Due
I
to
think
the
we talked
number-
about that just randomly.
the
one day
rats
at work.
and we talked about it on the stream. The rats and the garbage and the stuff. So let's say that you get the plague or some other ancient disease. Well, how about leprosy? Right?
All right, yeah.
You have leprosy. The insurance company doesn't want to treat you because the AI says no. And you're at home. Delivery drivers, they don't want to come to your house. You're a leper, right?
Literally a leper.
So what are you going to do? Well, Ford has you covered.
Ford's way to finish driverless deliveries. Package carrying robots. And look at him, this little Gumby fella. He's colored like Gumby.
With his grasshopper legs.
Yeah, it's a little scary. I thought he might have been a Boston Dynamics robot, but
He does, well, I mean, I imagine.
he kind of looks like one, but
It's just the most functional form of robot, right?
yeah.
Now,
to do what you need to
unfortunately, we've read all of our complimentary Bloomberg stories for the week, but if you haven't, you can look at more pictures, and there's a picture of him where he's all folded up in the back of the truck. So he folds up into a nice little cube.
But to comfortably live in the van life.
He's van life.
He's van life in it.
24/7. And so they suspect this guy he'll be able to climb stairs, gravel, all the various weird things that people have at their homes, come up, give you your package.
I don't know why he's a he, but he is a he to me.
He does look like a
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well,
that is.
I'll tell you why.
He kind of looks like he has a hat.
Because look at his little flat butt and his flat chest. Right?
Yeah.
He's very masculine looking.
Well, the color's kind of male,
His shoulders are much wider than his hips. Right?
I guess.
Skinny legs. That's a male robot.
He's not thick.
Not at all.
THICC.
Meanwhile, in China, a different tack for the final delivery.
DHL launches its first regular, fully automated, intelligent urban drone delivery service. And there's a picture of it.
So, this is cool because the question of drone delivery is always, what's it going to do with the package, right? Is
Right.
it going to drop it right on your porch while your dog snatches it out of the sky? Is it going to drop it on your face
While Rude shreds it.
Yeah. Or
While the cats shred it.
are you going to drop it on your car and dent your car? Like that's so. The answer that DHL has come up with in China is you've got these little deposit boxes, right? These little squares right here, those correspond with this box. So it goes down, deposits its box, it gets put into one of those lockers. The outgoing box comes up and goes up to it, it flies and goes to the other box, and it just keeps
Doing that.
ferrying between.
It kind of looks like almost like you drop the box and it goes and just like shreds the box. That's what that looks like. I don't know why. Like a saw.
You fill the box with unwanted kittens.
The drone just quietly deposits them in.
You ever seen that video where they shred the baby chicks, the male chicks?
No, I don't want to see that.
I mean, it's so quick.
I'm sure.
You don't even see much violence. It's just like it starts and then there's little feathers floating down.
Oh.
Yeah, it's bad. With modern politics, it's hard to reach the younger generation, right?
I guess so.
You don't know what they're into. Like your nieces that you're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't know if they're Instagram thoughts. We don't know if they're on Facebook. We're too old. Our minds,
They're
we
slow.
can't comprehend what the children are up
Like
to.
peanut butter.
But this Danish parliamentary candidate has figured it out.
Danish parliamentary candidate runs ad on Pornhub. And I think, at least according to, look at him, he does look like someone who would run an ad on Pornhub. I think in his statement, he said he was just like, I'm not going to try and talk to you about any issues. I just thought it'd be funny to run an ad here. And that's the end of the ad.
Yeah, and he said
It was literally just a publicity stunt.
he was critiqued for it, and he said, whatever, get over it. People watch porn, and I want those people to vote for me. And if you want to talk about politics, then I will talk about my politics, but, that was just a fun thing to do.
Do you think that was really effective? Because it was probably expensive, right?
I think he paid like $400 or something for it.
I don't know.
It's not super expensive.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it's somewhat effective, because a lot of people, I think, vote based on very obscure, loose ideas, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't know what they're voting for. They don't know anything about these people. They like the look of one of them, or they've heard something that, or Orange Man bad.
Orange Man bad.
And people really don't know enough. So just get your name out there, I think, is a big part of it. Which is why they blanket the world in those little signs.
Yeah, I hate that.
Now, this is a...
The Indian Express. Don't have a lot of stories from them.
This is a crazy story. And I think, Krista, you have to worry about this because you're getting married. And what if this happened to you?
Gujarat. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
I think that's right.
19-year-old mother calls helpline seeking divorce to live with PUBG partner. Apparently, she plays PUBG on her mobile phone and fell in love with her duo queue partner.
Yes. So much. But they also mentioned that within the family, there'd been a lot of static because the rest of the family was like, you need to stop playing PUBG and take care of your family.
Well, I kind of wonder. So 19 years old.
Yeah.
And probably from a rural area. And I'm not sure where, maybe it's not. But 19-year-old mother, it makes me wonder if she's in an arranged marriage. And like this is her only way of coping is just like getting online and playing a game.
Could be a lot of those things. Could just be straight up PUBG addiction.
One or the other, yeah.
So it's a weird situation. So you have to request permission to divorce in India, apparently, and you call up this like government association, and they actually sent people to the house
To check on.
and they were like, "No, we have to fix this. You have to stay married, and you need to quit playing PUBG." And she was like,
Over my dead body.
She was like, "All right, you guys can leave. Just pretend I never called." And so, how do you feel if you're the husband?
Husband probably is like, whatever, just keep pushing out babies for me.
I don't think that. I mean, come on. You're saying he has no feelings?
I mean, I don't know.
Now, we talked about I don't know if we talked about this on the news. I think again this was something else we talked about. But we're in Kentucky, and Kentucky
it's got a rough reputation.
Some negative stereotypes for sure. Some of them deserved, some of them not.
Yeehaw.
A lot of times we, like you want to attack, you want to punch down, as they say, right?
Yeah.
The only way that we can punch down usually is West Virginia.
Oh, but Alabama.
Well, that's
Alabama taking the heat.
All of a sudden, Alabama has
a real contender
rocketed to the bottom, and nobody's talking about Kentucky anymore, right?
Woo!
Now we can just pass.
The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home,
but not on Alabama.
Alabama Public Television refuses to air Arthur episode with a gay wedding.
So this is here they are, the gay couple. I don't know what kind of animals
they're aardvarks.
I think this guy's a rat, right?
Wow, that's
He's Mr. Ratburn, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Arthur and his sister are aardvarks, right?
I don't know anything about it. What is this character?
I've
that's
never
horrific.
I never liked Arthur growing up.
I don't like this art style at all.
No, there was something like a little uncanny valley about it growing up.
So anyway, Mr. Ratburn is gay. I don't know. I don't think they've ever addressed that before. He's having a gay wedding. Now, PBS actually sent out a press release to all their affiliates, and we're like, listen, we got this episode of Arthur coming up. You might not want to air it. And Alabama was apparently the only one who said, you're right, we don't.
All right.
So,
taking that heat off us.
I mean, I'm sure you could get it online somewhere.
If you really wanted to watch it.
If you really want to watch that gay wedding.
Who liked Arthur?
You think there's any...
Arthur's like what you watched when there was nothing else on.
You think there's going to be... Well, that's after my time. I've never heard of it. You think there's going to be any, deviant art stuff of the wedding night?
I'm probably sure. Well, I mean, they're kind of furries already, right? Like
Arthur furries? That's dark.
Oh, they kind of are, though. I mean, go back and look at that.
You really want to revisit that?
Those are furries.
Which one do you think's the top?
Oh, okay. That's too far.
Oh, you want to revisit it, but it's too far.
No, I was pointing out the art style. Now you're wanting to go into fan fiction territory.
Well, let's talk about...
Mr. Ratburn deserves better than that.
Oh, Mr. Ratburn's a freak. In the privacy of his own home?
It's crazy.
Space piracy, Krista.
This is a good picture. Real human Ted Cruz. Space pirate threat is real, U.S. Senator insists despite mockery.
So, Ted Cruz, ex-presidential candidate.
Real human.
Talked about...
Not a robot.
Now, he talked about space piracy, and he actually pointed out that in every fictional world, space piracy is a problem. So we should anticipate it, right?
I mean, in a lot of fantasy worlds, dragons are a problem, but I don't know that we really need to anticipate that.
I don't think there's any crossover between dragons and space pirates, are there? There probably is at least one or two.
Probably. In the Silmarillion...
There are no space pirates.
There are.
Okay.
He's not really a space pirate, but
no,
he's a space sailor. And there are dragons in space.
I'm torn between asking for more details
and not caring enough to do it.
Being done with the news before 6 o'clock.
All right.
People are going to be like, I want to hear about that.
Ariandel the Mariner, look it up.
You should do a special, optional end of the news.
Just lore updates about... Here's my conspiracy theories about Lord of the Rings and the Silmarillion.
So everyone made fun of him. Obviously, people posted out. And then he tried to, get back into it.
Yeah.
But it's like, come on, bro. And then he complained because in the, Twitter moments, only the people making fun of him were getting displayed and not his defenders.
Well, it's because people like those better.
But it was a stupid thing. Now, I'm sure that we will have, eventually, when it's so cheap to go to space that people can do it without, regulatory...
Space pirates will be a thing, but that's years and years in the future,
I don't think it'll be space pirates who are attacking other vessels.
Prepare to be boarded, and then you just blow a hole in both ships and die instantly.
I think it'll be space pirates who go up and just grab a bunch of satellites.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think blowing holes in each other with cannons, space cannons, is a better idea.
I'm disappointed in WTVM, whatever local station this is, because they didn't show the full picture here.
Oh, yeah. 1,000 signed petition to make Danny DeVito next Wolverine.
Such a great mock-up.
That really is.
Because the whole picture where he's got the claws is really good. It's easy to find if you just Google it. But these people, it's like some kind of petition, like one of those change.org things, but it's not change.org. Anyway,
if you can't tell, we're on the nonsense section.
People want Danny DeVito to be a Wolverine. I think he would...
it was very elegantly written, the person who made the petition.
That would be hilarious. I don't know if the joke would carry through a 2-hour movie.
No. Watching him, like, rough and tumble over, like, terrain and stuff.
Like the four-legged, like, running that he does when he goes into the beast mode. This is a story that...
This is sad. We have a couple sad stories. I don't know why you included them.
Because the scourge of children. And this is an issue that I feel strongly about because they should have euthanized the child.
Anyway, Flamingo, Illinois Zoo euthanized after child throws rock and injures it.
So this stupid kid...
They didn't say anything about the child, like how old the child was or...
Oh, because it's like, oh, we got to protect children. No, that kid's face should be on the headline. Like,
I don't...
Moron child destroys innocent animal.
I don't understand, like, how old the kid is changes it a little bit.
They're not allowed to say anything about the kids, right? Because there's stupid child protection laws.
Apparently, they're working with the parent to make this a teaching moment.
Yeah,
which I don't know why a kid over a certain age would need a teaching moment.
Well, you should teach the other kids in this kid's class at his execution. It's like, here's why we don't mess with the flamingos.
This kid and the kid who did stuff to Harambe, like...
Wasn't that the mom that dropped him in there? That kid was like toddler. This kid was old enough he was skipping rocks.
Oh, okay.
So that's like, to be strong enough to do
That's what I was thinking. It sounds like this was an older child.
I think this was like between 8 and 10, I would say.
That's old enough to know not to throw rocks at birds.
Old enough for a firing line after something like this. So he hit the little flamingos, like the flamingo's legs are like paper mache.
Yeah, yeah.
A strong breeze will just snap them. And he hit it with a rock and basically sheared it off. And a one-legged flamingo ain't gonna make it.
Unlike the popular yard ornament. I'm just not even gonna finish that thought.
It's getting late in the news.
It is.
So yeah, don't flamingos sometimes stand on one leg for whatever reason?
Yeah, like the ornaments have like the one leg.
I think they like tuck one.
Yeah.
And sleep or something. So he would only ever be able to stand on one leg. He wouldn't be able to.
That'd be a miserable life for a flamingo.
So they put him down. Poor little flamingo. Disgusting. Now, Krista, the 2-year plan, we're burning through it. We're on like the last year and 3 months or something like that. So pretty soon, you're going to have to think about things like summer camp.
Right.
Are you interested in making your child a YouTube star like you are?
I think calling us YouTube stars is pretty general or generous. Dang it.
Oh, this is the nonsense section.
Parents are spending thousands on YouTube camps that teach kids how to be famous. The first thing they should teach them is there is no guarantee and that you should be doing this just for fun. And B, if you do get famous, they should teach you mental health coping strategies.
I think...
Because so many of the YouTubers you see, like the big ones, are always talking about how they're on the verge of a mental breakdown.
Well, week 1, you're going to cover like... operating the camera and setting your space up and, the technical details, microphones.
Promoting it.
Microphones are constant. Then
we can't do microphones.
Week 2, they explain to the children, grow huge breasts. Because that's what people like on social media. That's how you get popular. But they point out
So one of these camps was like $1,000.
Well, they point out the kid that plays with toys, and he's like a billionaire from it.
There's a lot of channels like that where they just unbox toys.
There's one that's just like the king of them. And he's a young kid. And it's like, no, your kid can be the next.
Whatever, if they have a good idea.
Yeah, right. Well, the kid didn't have the idea.
Yeah. One of my younger cousins said he wanted to be on YouTube. And then he was like, well... I would like to do that, but he's like, I don't really have any good ideas, so I'm not going to do that. And I was like, did you just have enough cognitive understanding there to know that you don't offer anything to that market?
Do you feel like PewDiePie or the 2 brothers that went into the Japanese forest, the Paul brothers, do they have good ideas?
No, but they're idiots, and some people seem to enjoy that.
Well, that just flies in the face of what you've said.
Well, maybe Jake's not confident in his little personality yet.
Isn't one of those guys named Jake?
Yeah.
Jake could be the next
The
Jake.
next Jake. I don't know.
Is
I don't
Jake
know.
the one that kept messing up our car color scheme in Rocket League?
Yeah, because I let him play it, and then he changes the cars.
I got nothing for Jake. I'm done with him.
He didn't mess. He doesn't mess with your account. It's the cars on my account.
We had a scheme for our team, and he screwed it up.
Oh yeah, because he likes to
Week
decorate
after
the
week.
cars himself.
Oh, well, Jake's got to be an individual.
Unlocked new stuff for me.
Talk about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Ugh, Sonic the Hedgehog movie is getting delayed to redesign the title
You are
character.
falling
I
apart
am
with
falling
these
apart
headlines.
right now.
So there he is.
Only one cup of coffee this
People
morning.
hate him, and they hate him so much that now Valentine's Day 2020 is the new date when we will see Sonic, the redesigned Sonic.
What
Now,
a
here's the
horrible
question.
release day.
Well, you can take your date to see the horrible
Would you?
anthropomorphic.
So, say you meet a nice lady on farmersonly.com, and you guys are like, okay, let's do our first date. Let's go see a movie. And she says, I want to go see the new Sonic
I
movie.
think a movie is the worst first date you could have with an individual, right?
It would be pretty
Because
bad.
what's the purpose of a date, really?
So get to know someone.
You are filtering, right?
Right.
First date is the first filter. And if you get past like the desperation of I just want to have sex with this girl no matter what, and you're really actually trying to figure out if you're a match, why would you want to just sit quietly in a dark room and not interact with them for the entire date? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Say no to movies for first dates, chat.
First day with my fiance, we went out to a restaurant and then we went to a bookstore.
That I'm not even going to talk about that because
Both of us were so nervous. Like, he was sweating and I was trembling.
But
We're both so socially awkward.
I can't address the reason that doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
So I
we
don't
kind
wanna
of knew
hear
each other a little
Oh,
bit before.
oh, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk
We
about
played Minecraft together.
Russia, Krista.
Right.
In communist Russia, the restaurant cooks what you tell them to cook, which doesn't really fit the in communist Russia meme format.
It really
does it?
doesn't. Delivery app orders restaurants to cook almost whatever you want. Almost.
This is Yandex.
Excuse me?
Yandex.
Bless you.
Yandex is a ordering system, kind of like Uber. Yeah, Uber's part of it. But here's the catch. You know those Amazon Blue Apron, like ready-made meal type
Yeah,
things?
yeah.
So Yandex has those, and you go on and you go through their menu and you're like, I want that. They deliver that to the restaurant. Wait for them to make it, and then bring it to you. It's a bizarre twist
On
on Uber Eats.
wouldn't that be more expensive too? Because you're paying for the raw ingredients and the travel fees.
Does seem like the car would just be sitting there for a long amount of time.
Yeah.
And the restaurant wouldn't necessarily be good at it because it's not something they cook all the time.
Yeah,
It seems like a terrible idea.
it's almost like that's probably going to fail.
Now,
Another terrible story here.
Dogs don't live as long as humans. We know that.
Yeah.
Nor do cats. You and I are both facing a dark time when our beloved fur babies pass on. But let's say that you go first for whatever reason. Let's say you go on your backpacking trip and you are viciously knife murdered, as happened on the Appalachian Trail.
Listen, that's not going to happen to me and my friend when we go. For no reason.
Do you want me to go ahead and cut Rue's throat so she can be buried with you?
No, because that's insane.
Well, these Virginians disagree.
Healthy dog put down because owner wanted to be buried together. Huh? That was my reaction when I read that.
This is Emma.
She's dead now, so
Oh, that's not Emma. That's just a
an approximation.
common Shih Tzu. So yeah, they put in their will that the dog should be buried with them, and rather than bury the dog alive. Now that would be like the Egyptian way to do it, right?
That'd be the ultimate.
But they didn't do that. Instead, so she was for 2 weeks. She was who doesn't bury someone for 2 weeks?
Usually that's pretty quick, or
Yeah.
at least at the very least they take you to the funeral home and
But
have your body prepared.
I think
like
actually,
literally the next day.
Actually, the reason for that is because it is illegal. It's illegal to do this in most places. Virginia, it's not. But it is illegal to put the dog or the dog's ashes, they cremated the dog, in with you. right? There has to be another piece of dirt for the dog. So I think they buried the person. For 2 weeks, the shelter was like, I can't believe you're asking me to kill this dog.
Yeah, the shelter were like, we can adopt this dog. Yeah.
And it's
because it was fairly young.
It's like a purebred, right?
And it was healthy, yeah. Like they were like, this dog has many more years ahead of it.
But the family was adamant, no. And they like the first vet was like, I'm not doing this. So they found one that would, I guess. Euthanized it, popped it in the oven, and right in the ground at the cemetery.
That's so sad.
As master demanded.
That's so sad.
I would, I would want somebody to take in my little cats.
Yeah, why would you not have them be adopted again? Like,
so they can enjoy the constant meowing that I enjoy.
You just want to punish their next owner.
Two little monsters. Now, Krista, I know when you get high, as a responsible pet owner, you don't share your drugs with Rue.
Rue wants me to share everything with her.
But you can't do
she
that,
wanted
right?
to drink my coffee this morning.
Because, well, it's another drug. And you shouldn't share your drugs with your animals. Oh, wait, California says, hold my weed.
California veterinarians could soon recommend medical marijuana for pets.
Look at this guy.
Do dogs... I thought dogs can get sick from marijuana. Like, do they even process it the same way human bodies do?
Well, let me tell you, from some parties I attended in high school, you can definitely get dogs high.
Wouldn't that be dangerous for them?
I'm
like,
sure
because they're much smaller?
I'm sure. The dog I saw get high was a golden retriever. He was big.
Yeah.
But I saw somebody, blow marijuana into the dog, like hold the snout. And this dog ran around the house like 5 times, just freaked out. And then ate like 4 bowls of food. And then went and laid down, went to sleep. I don't see that would help it if it's got some sort of terrible condition.
Yeah, like anxiety or something. That's strange to me.
But
I was pretty sure that, like, well, and I say that because I had a family friend who their dog ate some marijuana, and then I think they had to have the dog's stomach pumped. I guess that's different than...
But, see, you can't just eat weed.
Yeah.
You have to... It's fat soluble. So you have to put it in something that has fat.
Yeah.
So a dog eating it, maybe just because it couldn't poop it out, probably.
Is it raining?
Oh, I hope not, because I drove...
The nice car?
Yeah.
I have my windows cracked, so I hope it's not, like, pouring rain right now.
Anyway, I don't know. I mean, isn't recreational weed legal in California?
I think so.
So why wouldn't you just...
There's a lot of weird logical steps in this.
Pepe the Frog. He's dead, we know.
Yeah,
he was
Pepe
killed by his owner. Before that, none other than Alex Jones sold some T-shirts.
Merch.
Featuring Mr. Pepe the Frog. And a court battle has ensued. Jones wanted to have the suit thrown out. A judge says...
Judge refuses to toss suit over Pepe the Frog poster sales. I kind of side with the artist here.
So...
Because, I mean, it is his property.
Here's the thing about
that they're making money on.
Here's the argument that probably won't change your mind, and I kind of agree with you, but the T-shirt in question wasn't just Pepe, right? So it had the Milo Yiannopoulos guy.
Yeah.
It had Trump. It had Pepe, and it was like a collage of the election, right? All the big figures of the election. And so... Jones' lawyers are arguing that's fair use. He also says that Pepe was based on El Sapo Pepe or Pepe the Toad, who was a pre-existing character.
I don't think that's true. That's not from anything I've heard is that it's that one artist who made the original character.
The creator says he didn't know anything about this El Sapo Pepe.
Yeah.
So he's saying, I didn't know anything about it. It's my work. You can't sell it. And Jones made $31,000 from those Pepe T-shirts. That's a lot of T-shirts.
Pepe's coming for him.
So,
yeah, I would kind of be pissed too if I was the artist in question.
And I don't think the artist cares so much about the money, but he hated the idea of Pepe being a right-wing figure.
Except he wasn't originally. I hope it's not raining.
Thunder.
Yeah.
Oh man. Sucks.
Hurry quick, let's get it done.
Now, 4 more stories. Again, we talked about you're going to be raising children. Terrible decision, by the way. When it comes time and you're like, little child, you're 3 or 4 years old, you can now communicate with me. What kind of birthday cake do you want? And they say, Mommy, I want a frog birthday cake. How disappointed would you be if you got this? I think this is the most
I
hilarious
think this is
cake.
actually hilarious. Pathetic frog birthday cake from supermarket leaves parents mortified. It was a disgrace.
It is a disgrace.
I think this would make me laugh so hard. I wouldn't even be mad.
So
I would just get like a little plastic frog and put it on there and call it a day. You know what I mean? And get some candles. It's fine.
So apparently this woman called him up. I
don't think it's raining yet. Sorry. I thought it was raining.
This woman called him up and she was like, hey, want a frog cake? And they're like, all right, we'll do it. But after she received this beauty, look at it. Oh, I just can't stop looking at it.
It's so good.
She called him up and she was like, this is crazy. This is not a frog. And they're like, man, we don't decorate cakes.
But someone, see, the thing at supermarket bakeries is that different people were working different shifts, and who knows who she talked to. Initially, said, oh, yeah, we can do that. And then, you know.
So she ended up hiring another baker. Woolworths was the store. She hired another baker who came in and made an actual frog cake. Gotta wonder what that cost. What does an emergency baker cost?
My mom always made my cakes growing up. Like,
yeah. No,
one year I wanted an ice cream cake, and my mom bought me an ice cream cake.
I never had themed cakes, I don't think. Although
my mom would usually decorate
my mom
them.
had some of those shaped tins. I
Yeah.
had some Masters of the Universe shaped cakes.
Oh.
Yeah.
My mom usually decorated mine, but like she just made them herself.
The story is just stupid. You think about why people do this, and it's to be unique, right?
Right.
It's like, I'm going to do something that most people can't do or won't do. But then you find out that so many people are doing it.
Well, there was a documentary on YouTube recently that was like being promoted, but Spring Himalaya expeditions claim 18 lives, including 8 on crowded Everest.
So this is the death zone? Like, there's the peak, right?
Well, the death zone goes down way far, because,
But look at all these people.
Yeah. Well, and that doesn't count all the Sherpas and
Yeah.
people who are helping you up the mountain. Like, you're not even carrying your own gear a lot of times.
So, I guess waiting to get to the top, and it's not like you can just be like, oh, excuse me, I'm going to go back down. Once you're in that, that's like a drive-through with the big curves.
And you have to carry oxygen up there because the air's too thin to breathe.
Well, that's the thing. People are spending so long in the death zone waiting their turn. And also, like, if you get to the peak, how long do you get? How long do you wait? Do you just take your selfie and then move
and go on?
Or
Yeah.
It's like, hey.
And it's like $11,000 just to take a trip like this.
Could you maybe move it along up there at the peak? Because, like, 5 guys are dead back there?
Yeah. And a lot of times, logistically, they can't take the bodies off the mountain.
Right, they just bury them in snow.
Yeah. Same thing with, like, waste as well.
What a wonderful
waste
place to
doesn't decompose in those kind of temperatures. So, like,
what a great place.
Yeah.
I would love to do that, right?
I don't understand the appeal.
Ridiculous. If you've climbed Everest, you're stupid.
Rich, but probably maybe too rich for your own good.
I bet some people are like dropping, a third of their net worth just to be an Everest hipster.
Maybe.
So let's say that you're not comfortable with your own appearance, right? But you want to be baptized. You're only comfortable being baptized as your anime girl avatar. Before now, you couldn't do anything about it. The world has changed.
Real pastor holds church in VR, baptizes anime girl.
You said you didn't watch the video.
I didn't watch the video, no.
It's the cringiest thing. So there she is.
This is just...
And for whatever reason, Winnie the Pooh is here as well.
Well, it's just their avatars.
And so this guy is the e-pastor. And he's talking about they're very annoying people. But there they are. There's a first-person point of view. Oh, Piglet's there too.
Oh, but he's scary Piglet.
And this guy touts this as being good for people who can't leave the house, or they have like crippling agoraphobia or something like that. Which, okay, right?
Yeah.
I kind of get it. But why does the anime girl have to be?
Well, it's probably just the avatar they already have. I don't know. I find this a little bit strange. As someone who practices the religion, usually baptism is something that, like, it is supposed to be a community thing.
But also, some places really, like, tone it down. Like, they just sprinkle some water on it.
Yeah, you can do... Or you could just do it with, like, some family and friends. You don't have to do it in front of the whole congregation.
I know even the old regular Baptists, when someone was so sick and a lot of times that's when they're doing it. Let's be honest, they're hedging their bets.
Yeah.
They would go to your house
Yeah.
and do some stuff like that. So,
I got baptized in a feed trough.
which is, that's the way you ought to do it. Why not? Now, I mentioned that I'd watched the final season of Game of Thrones finally, so you can unleash your spoilers. You probably shouldn't because other people are going to read it.
Yeah.
But Wendell hasn't watched it yet. I don't know if he cares.
I don't think he cares. Because we were talking about spoilers in front of him, he didn't care.
But it was bad.
I think it was objectively bad.
It was bad, yeah. And
there's a great production value, but...
And it does feel like more of a loss because everything before it was good. And at the end, you're just like, oh, all that for nothing.
Yeah.
That's right, for sure.
I know. I have my windows cracked just a little bit, but like the sides are going to be soaked.
So, well, let's just hurry up and get through it. In case you have those feelings, you've lost something, it's good news.
You can now find a Game of Thrones counselor near you. I guess people are so distraught by the ending that they're having to go to counseling, which, I mean, I don't know. Is that like a piece of art touched you? Maybe in a negative way, but...
Show us on the doll where it touched you.
Maybe that's good. Maybe you don't feel anything. And then the ending of Game of Thrones was so bad, you finally felt rage in your cold, dead heart.
I think it's just a bunch of people looking to take money from rubes. My mom is one of these people.
Does she watch Game of Thrones?
She gets so invested. No, she doesn't. No. Game of Thrones is way too adult for her.
You got to watch it on YouTube. So they can't show the boobs.
So I read the Wheel of Time books.
Yeah.
And she was always like, she didn't understand. I was like, you should try these. I'm telling you, you'll be way into this story. And so 2 weeks later, she was like, oh my God, can you believe this happened? I've been reading these books for like 2 years as they came out. And I was like, what do you mean? That never happened. And she was like, oh no, it's like book 7. And I was like, don't tell me that. She had read all the way through. And she stopped because the nightmares were disturbing her so much from the Wheel of Time characters.
Wait, like she didn't like where the characters were going?
She was so overwhelmed with, and those are like really good books. They're really immersive. And she was so overwhelmed by it that it was like consuming her life. Wow. She wasn't doing things around the house, and her dreams were about it.
That's how I was when I first started playing Overwatch. Like the first 2 weeks, I was dreaming about it when I went to bed.
So she's definitely the kind of person who would like be totally messed up by Game of Thrones, for sure.
Yeah. I can't wait to watch all like the people who make like film essays and stuff. I can't wait for all those people on YouTube to start producing those essays. I can't wait to watch them.
What about that when that new Star Wars comes out?
Oh.
All the activism reviews.
I think that it might, I don't know. There's enough people who won't care, but like I could see Disney sticking with them possibly being a negative for the hardcore fanboys. But I don't know if Disney cares about the hardcore fanboys anymore.
You know what Disney cares about? Money.
Money, yeah. So unless it's like the fanboys make such a show to affect the bottom line, then I don't think it'll matter.
All right, well, let's go get in our wet cars. Once again, the weatherchannel.com has
screwed us over.
Lied
Chris
to me.
Bailey. Lying. Ho.
We'll see you next week.